Chapter 1796. In the VIP box on the second floor, a slender jade-like hand lifted the white veil. It revealed the face of a beautiful young girl. The girl was dressed in a fiery red dress. Standing behind the veil, the flaming skirt was like a phoenix spreading its wings, flashing with a charm that made one unable to look away. Facing tens of thousands of pairs of eyes that were looking at him in unison. The girl was extremely calm and did not have the slightest bit of stage fright. Instead, she revealed a dazzling smile. It was like a blooming poppy, exuding a suffocating charm. Yi Qing Luo, it's Yi Qing Luo. I was wondering who dared to challenge Prime Minister Sun at this time. Other than Yi Qing Luo, there's no one else. Among the people seated on the first floor, someone immediately recognized Yi Qing Luo. After all, there were at least 1,000 people queuing at the entrance of the treasure-gathering pavilion. The Zhao, Qian, Sun, and Li families, as well as Prime Minister Sun's bullying. They all saw it. Now that he saw Yi Qing Luo standing out to challenge Prime Minister Sunday, they were not surprised at all. When Yi Qing Luo's name was called out, the entire auction hall was in an uproar. Almost 10,000 people all stood up as they raised their heads to look at Yi Qing Luo's cabin. After all, ever since Yi Qing Luo returned to the headquarters from the Dark Forces, Yi Qing Luo's name had already spread throughout the entire country. There was no one in the entire Nirvana realm who did not know about it. He had to rescue the students of the various academies who were trapped in the dark spell. He became the benefactor of the various powers and sections. Then, he risked his life to sneak into the base camp of the Dark Forces and secretly revealed the location of the base to the Imperial Palace. Most importantly, this girl was only 15 years old. The girl who had been called trash in the past. Using his own strength, he sealed the King of Darkness consciousness. He had crushed the conspiracy of the Dark Forces. Even the Ghost martial arts master, who had never been interested in anything other than practicing martial arts, was full of praise for him. Furthermore, he had a golden mouth to judge. In the future, Yi Qing Luo would definitely be a talent who could ascend to the upper realm. Such a big name. It attracted the attention of tens of thousands of people every minute. Yi Qing Luo had totally not expected that she would actually cause such a huge commotion. Even when he obtained the divine artifact in the tomb of the Ling King, it did not cause such a huge commotion. She was completely famous. 20 million. Just as everyone was admiring Yi Qing Luo, Prime Minister Sun was so infuriated that his chest kept heaving up and down as he clenched his teeth and spat out 3 words. Everyone turned to look at Prime Minister Sun again. Looks like Prime Minister Sun was determined not to let go. And that 15-year-old girl obviously didn't want to let Prime Minister Sun have an easy time. 21 million. Yi Qing Luo smiled lightly as she wasn't in a hurry to increase the bid. Prime Minister Sun slammed the table and glared at her angrily. Stupid girl. Do you know the rules of the treasure-gathering pavilion? Once the deal is made, it must be done on the spot. She was just a 15-year-old girl. Even though she had become famous to the point where she was known by everyone, she was still a little girl. However, it was only a matter of a few days. Even if the General Hospital were to intervene, they wouldn't be able to prepare 30 million gold coins for her in such a short time. Premier Sun absolutely didn't believe that Yi Qing Luo could take out so many gold coins. Yi Qing Luo raised her brows. I know, is there a problem? Prime Minister Sun seemed as though he had eaten half a fly as he didn't know whether to swallow or spit it out. The surrounding people didn't give him any face as they all burst out laughing with a pft. The meaning in Yi Qing Luo's words was very obvious. She wasn't afraid to do the transaction on the spot. Chapter 1797. Prime Minister Sun suppressed his anger as he called out again, 25 million. Yi Qing Luo's expression didn't change, 26 million. Obviously, Yi Qing Luo was going against him. No one was willing to give in. As for the other tycoons, they were also extremely interested in this medicinal herb. Earlier it was because they heard that Prime Minister Sun was going to advance to Sky Profound stage and they weren't willing to offend a Sky Profound overlord. But now, Yiqing Luo was blocking in front of them. Those tycoons also started to call out their prices in a probing manner. It was just a joss stick's time and the price had already reached 57 million. Many of the tycoons were sweating profusely as they looked at the sky recovering primordial serene grass with extravagant hopes. But the price had exceeded what they could accept. What was left was a stalemate between Prime Minister Sun and Yiqing Luo. 60 million. Just 3 words and one could tell that Prime Minister Sun was gritting his teeth. Apparently, the current price had touched his bottom line. 61 million. Yiqing Luo smiled lightly as she continued to increase the bid by 1 million. The surrounding people were in a flurry of discussion. They were all guessing what was Yiqing Luo's identity. She was actually able to take out so many gold coins without any change in expression. Even if the number 1 tycoon was here, he wouldn't be able to take out 60 million gold coins without any heartache. Did Yiqing Luo really have so much money? There were quite a number of people who were directly betting on the final price of the sky recovering primordial serene grass. The white-browed elderly held the hammer as he raised his voice, 61 million. Are there any higher bids than 61 million? 61 million going once. 6,000. 65 million. The tensed voice was as though the words were squeezed out from the slits of his teeth. Prime Minister Sun's expression was steely green. He clenched his fists tightly as he suppressed his rage. No matter what, he absolutely could not fly into a rage on the spot. When he got the sky recovering primordial serene grass and refined the medicinal pill. When he advanced to Sky Profound stage. He had plenty of ways to make Yiqing Luo live a life worse than death. This time, after hearing Prime Minister Sun's bid, Yiqing Luo didn't immediately increase the bid by 1 million. The surrounding crowd guessed that 65 million should be Yiqing Luo's limit. But the next moment, Yiqing Luo's eyes suddenly widened as she blinked. Prime Minister Sun, you're so rich, 65 million, I'm afraid even the East Continent's treasury doesn't have so much money, right? As far as she knew. The East Wave continent most likely didn't have the ability to take out 650,000 gold coins at once. Prime Minister Sun's offer was even higher than the East Water continent's national treasury. Obviously, Prime Minister Sun was not clean. Everyone also thought of this point when they heard Yiqing Luo's seemingly innocent question. He looked at Prime Minister Sun suspiciously. There were also many people from the East Wave continent present. After hearing Yiqing Luo's words, the expression on his face suddenly turned gloomy. No matter how wealthy a prime minister was, it was impossible for him to take out 65 million gold coins in one go. Even the East Water continent's Jade Dome sect might not be able to afford it. Where did Prime Minister Sun get his money from? The answer, even if one used their toes to think, could be guessed. You. Where my money came from, has nothing to do with you. Prime Minister Sun's face was gloomy as his eyes were filled with malice. He clenched his fists tightly as his other hand wiped the sweat which seeped out from his forehead. Yiqing Luo's long-ending tone dragged out an "oh." Following that, she looked at Prime Minister Sun with a beaming smile as she said word by word, 66 million. Chapter 1798. Yiqing Luo. Prime Minister Sun couldn't bear it any longer. What on earth do you want to do? Looking at Prime Minister Sun's embarrassment turning into anger, unable to maintain the Prime Minister's dignified look, Yiqing Luo's brows curved as she smiled delightfully. What do I want to do? I want the Tianyuan serene grass back. You. Prime Minister Sun pointed angrily at Yiqing Luo as he panted in anger. Yiqing Luo spread out her hands as she shrugged her shoulders with a helpless look. Prime Minister Sun just has to quarrel with a junior like me. What else can I do? I'm also in despair. Prime Minister Sun's dry lips kept trembling. He clutched his chest and gasped for air. "Prime Minister Sun, do you still want to bid?" The white-browed old man interrupted the quarrel between the two guests. As the auctioneer of Jubao Pavilion, looking at this kind of customer who was completely playing with money in order to go against the other party, he loved it the most. But no matter what, that girl seemed to have a good relationship with young Master Shi. Bidding. Of course. Prime Minister Sun took a deep breath to calm himself down. The white-browed old man was the chief auctioneer of the treasure-gathering pavilion, and he was also one of the managers of the treasure-gathering pavilion. Naturally, Prime Minister Sun did not dare to offend him. 67 million. Prime Minister Sun's heart felt as if it was being cut by a knife. Yiqing Luo's slender brows rose slightly as she gave a thumbs up to Prime Minister Sun for being able to persist till now. Was Prime Minister Sun going to use his entire fortune to buy this sky-restoring serene grass? He really went out in a whoosh. Was he certain that he would have the opportunity to break through to the sky-profound realm? So, he had already disregarded the consequences and was going all out? 67 million. It wasn't that she was out of money. The money she had was more than enough to deal with Prime Minister Sunday. When Dmo Xian gave her the profound phoenix ring, there was a huge pile of coins inside. After that, she went around swindling and abducting people, plus the cooperation with the Mu brothers. He had earned quite a lot of money. Although the majority of the coins that she was bidding for were those that Dmo Xian had placed in the profound phoenix ring. However, she still felt heartache. After all, when they got married in the future, Dmo Xian's money would also belong to her. Now that she was spending so extravagantly, her heart ached for her small amount of money. Cough cough, of course, Yiqing Luo totally didn't want to spend 60 to 70 million gold coins to bid for a stock of 1,000-years-old medicinal herb. 10 to 20 million was still within her acceptable range. It would be foolish to buy it at a price several times higher than this price. The only reason why she kept bidding was to annoy Prime Minister Sunday. But, it seemed that Prime Minister Sun had almost reached his bottom line. If the bidding continued and Prime Minister Sun gave up, she would really feel distressed about her money. Suddenly, the hand around her waist tightened. Yiqing Luo instinctively blurted out, 68 million. The arm around his waist tightened even more. Yiqing Luo was puzzled as she looked sideways at Dmo Xian. But Dmo Xian's expression was grave and his face was chilly. He made his move. What? Dmo Xian hugged her waist, not to let her raise the price, but to remind her? Yiqing Luo's expression sunk as her gaze immediately shot towards Shi Shanglan's cabin. He realized that Shi Shanglan's voice had indeed disappeared. There was no one in that private room. Let's hurry up and catch up. Yiqing Luo didn't have the mood to continue bickering with Prime Minister Sun as she anxiously tugged Dmo Xian's arm, trying to catch up with Shi Shanglan. Chapter 1799. Yiqing Luo's breathing grew heavier and she tried her best to slow down her breathing. That was right. Dmo Xian was right. She was the center of attention. Everyone's gaze was fixed on her. If she leaves, Shi Shanglan would definitely be suspicious. Once Shi Shanglan became suspicious, Xiao Yi and Jin Zi were probably in danger. She had to believe in Dmo Xian, to believe in Little Nine. At this moment, Prime Minister Sun's private room was frozen. The butler next to him tried to persuade Prime Minister Sun to give up on the returning sky serene grass. He was slapped away by Prime Minister Sunday. Now, it was no longer just a problem of a single stalk of herb. He was the Prime Minister of the East Wave continent. If he lost to a 15-year-old girl in terms of money, then he would lose. Wouldn't that be a joke? He had given up on the returning Heaven Essence serene grass. There were people from all over the world, from all continents, and from all kinds of forces. In the future, they might laugh at the Sun family. Perhaps they would laugh at the East Water continent. More importantly, the news that he was about to step into the profound Sky Supreme realm had already spread. If he could not advance to the Sky Profound realm, the Sun clan had climbed to their current position by stepping on the heads and corpses of many people. Those sworn enemies of the Sun family would definitely not give him the chance to advance to the Sky Profound realm. No matter what, he was determined to obtain the heaven-returning essence Serene Grass. Prime Minister Sun's eyes were bloodshot. He clenched his teeth, stood up, and walked to the railing. His hand gripped the railing tightly as he said word by word, 70 million. The auction hall was silent. Everyone turned to look at Prime Minister Sunday. Prime Minister Sun was sweating profusely, breathing heavily, and his face was flushed. Everyone knew that Prime Minister Sun must have taken out his entire fortune to bid for this herb, in order to advance to the Sky Profound realm. Prime Minister Sun was really going all out. The people present were all shrewd people. He also knew that Prime Minister Sun was really angry now. Challenging him at this time would drive Prime Minister Sun crazy. Furthermore, 70 million. That was 70 million. And they were all gold coins. Gold coins. Even if he was a tycoon, he wouldn't be able to take out so many gold coins. Immediately following that, everyone's gazes shot towards Yi Qing Luo's cabin. Unknowingly, Yi Qing Luo had put down the veil, concealing everything in the private room. The whole place fell silent once again. Is he giving up? The white-browed elderly was also looking towards Yi Qing Luo's cabin in astonishment. Yi Qing Luo's bid didn't come even after a long time. Prime Minister Sun's heart was burning with anxiety, and he clenched his fists tightly. Manager of the treasure-gathering pavilion, time has passed, please drop the hammer. The white-browed elderly looked at Yi Qing Luo's private room for some time before he raised his hammer and shouted, 70 million. 70 million going once. 70 million twice. 70 million. He paused for a moment. The surroundings were still silent. The white-browed old man made the final call, 70 million going thrice. Deal. A silent battle finally came to an end. Everyone sighed. He had not expected Yi Qing Luo to choose to give up the bidding in the end. But, it was true. Even if the entire Western continent used their national treasury and Three Springs sect to gather 70 million gold coins, they might not be able to gather that much. Yi Qing Luo was an earth-profound cultivator. She was still 1,000 miles away from the Sky Profound realm. There was no need to spend all her fortune to buy this stock of herb. Yi Qing Luo's decision to give up was within everyone's expectations. In the end, Prime Minister Sun obtained the sky-returning primordial serene grass at the price of 70 million gold coins. Chapter 1800. His face was ashen and his eyes were gloomy. If it wasn't for the fact that they were still at the Jubao Pavilion's venue, he probably wanted to rush over to Yi Qing Luo's private room and dismember her into 1,000 pieces. Prime Minister Sun tore off the veil angrily. The steward of Jubao Pavilion delivered the heaven-returning serene grass to the private room. He left immediately. He didn't have the slightest interest in any other rare treasures. Even if he was interested, he didn't have any more money to bid. At the same time, Yi Qing Luo's private room. When Prime Minister Sun shouted 70 million gold coins, Dmo Xian's arm tightened as he lowered his voice, "We're here, let's go." Yi Qing Luo immediately tore off her veil. Where would she find the mood to raise the price with Prime Minister Sunday? Before leaving, Dmo Xian flicked his finger lightly. Shiruashi, who had been unconscious, opened her eyes in a daze. Before he could pounce into Yi Qing Luo's arms, his shoulder was pressed down by Yi Qing Luo's arm. Shiruashi's body fell back onto the chair. "Little Shi, you have to help me with something," Yi Qing Luo said seriously. Shiruashi's face flushed red as she nodded in a daze. "Whatever Sister Qing Luo needs, little Shi will definitely help you settle it." She felt that this kind of sister was so dashing. Ah, Xian and I are going out to do something. You stay here and pretend to be me. Yiqing Luo pointed to the veil at the side. Stand in front of the veil and don't lift it up. If you have nothing to do, raise a sign and shout out a price. Ah. Why? Shiruashi was confused. I'll explain it to you when I get back. Only you can help me now. Yiqing Luo saw the urging in Dmo Xian's eyes and whispered to Shiruashi, "Little Shi, you won't let me down, right?" "No. No way." Shiruashi immediately widened her eyes. As soon as he finished speaking, the hands on her shoulders suddenly felt lighter. Yiqing Luo had already stood up straight as she pulled Dmo Xian out of the room quietly. He looked at the empty room. Shiruashi was still in a daze. In his mind, he rearranged what Yiqing Luo had said earlier. Shiruashi had been by her brother's side since she was a child, dealing with the Shi family's affairs. Naturally, it wasn't as harmless as it seemed on the surface. She quickly understood that Sister Qing Luo definitely had something to settle. Moreover, they couldn't expose that Sister Qing Luo wasn't in the cabin. With that in mind, Shiruashi clenched her fists. This was the first time Sister Qing Luo had entrusted her with a task. She must do it well. After leaving the private room, Yiqing Luo was worried about leaving Shiruashi alone in the private room. After all, Shi Shanglan's spies were all around that private room. What was Shi Shanglan's identity? She had no way of knowing. She could not let Shiruashi get hurt because of her. Yiqing Luo nestled in Dmo Xian's arms as he carried her and chased after the nine-tailed fox. Yiqing Luo took out a message shell from the profound phoenix ring. Yiqing Luo had never used this before. After leaving a message in the shell, when Dmo Xian passed by Shiruoyu, Yiqing Luo stuffed the shell into Shiruoyu's hand. Shiruoyu was standing backstage, watching the 10th auction item. Suddenly, his body was hit by someone. When he raised his head, he only had time to catch a glimpse of shimmering purple. In his hand, there was a hard object. He frowned as he looked around the surroundings alertly. He didn't detect any abnormality at all. Even the steward beside him had a composed expression as he continued with his work. Which meant that someone had bumped into him earlier. Other than him, no one else sensed it. His heart suddenly tightened. Chapter 1801. Jubao Pavilion, in a dark secret room. In the silence, suddenly, a creaking sound came from the only wooden bed in the secret room. Following that, a petite figure sat up. Her soft and powerless hands grabbed the side of the bed, trying to climb down the bed. But she was obviously out of strength. Her hands left the side of the bed. His whole body fell from the bed. With a bang, the door to the secret room was opened. A tall figure slowly walked into the secret room. The scene in the secret room was comical and funny. The girl's upper body was on the ground, her face was covered in dust and weeds. And her lower body was still hanging on the bed. She heard someone approaching. The girl forced herself to stay conscious and looked over. The candlelight flickered, and it was extremely dark. She could vaguely see 2 feet in front of her, as well as a brown robe. Clouds rolled out of the golden edges of the robe. Her heart trembled, and her lips moved slightly. But she didn't have any strength to make a sound. "Xiao Yi, look at you. I'm not by your side, and you torment yourself like this." A gentle voice floated over from above her head. Soon after, the tall figure had already stooped down. 2 thin but powerful arms wrapped around Yan Xiaoyi's slender waist. Yan Xiaoyi's breathing tightened, and she tried to struggle. But she felt as if all the strength in her body had been sucked out. She couldn't push away the person who was hugging her. Sensing Yan Xiaoyi's movements, that gentle voice floated over again. "Xiao Yi, it's because I love you too much. You're my fiancé. In your heart, there should only be me. Yan Xiaoyi opened her mouth. She used all her strength to spit out an inaudible breath. You, shameless. The dim candlelight flickered incessantly. Faintly, it shone on Shi Shanglan's gentle face. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly, and a warm smile appeared on his face. No matter how one looked at him, he looked like a handsome young master. But when Yan Xiaoyi saw that face, a hint of anger appeared on her face. However, just as she uttered those 3 words, she seemed to have lost all her strength and fell into Shi Shanglan's arms. Shi Shanglan had drugged her. Too despicable. What was Shi Shanglan trying to do? He actually dared to make a move on her in treasure-gathering pavilion's territory. Yan Xiaoyi still remembered it clearly. After she had a chat with Yiqing Luo yesterday, she was determined to try her best to forget the feeling of loving Qiao Jin. She would not do anything, because she couldn't be with Qiao Jin as an engaged couple. She had to force her brothers to choose between her and Qiao Jin, and so on and so forth. She loved Qiao Jin. He also loved his brothers. Giving up on Qiao Jin didn't mean giving up on those brothers. Yan Xiaoyi had already tried her best to keep the atmosphere between her and Qiao Jin the same as before. However, Qiao Jin's reaction. It still pierced her heart. Said to let go. But he was unable to truly let go. She was afraid that she would cry in front of Qiao Jin. He was also afraid of arousing Yiqing Luo and Dmo Xian's worries. Therefore, she took the opportunity to blend into the crowd. She only wanted to wait for her emotions to stabilize before returning to their side. But she had just left Yiqing Luo for a short while. Her tears didn't even have time to fall. A pungent fragrance filled her nostrils. She had no time to react before she completely lost consciousness. Chapter 1802. She felt weak all over. Her surroundings were dark. This made Yan Xiaoyi's heart surge with an ominous premonition. Shi Shanglan's gaze was locked onto Yan Xiaoyi's face. He saw her expression turn serious, nervous and flustered. He let out a low laugh from his throat. Xiaoyi, don't be so afraid of me. After all, we are engaged. We have to get married. His voice was as gentle as usual. It was like the spring water flowing through her heart. However, Yan Xiaoyi felt an inexplicable chill in her heart. Shi Shanglan carried Yan Xiaoyi and placed her back on the wooden bed. He sat on the edge of the wooden bed. Yan Xiaoyi, who had just laid on the bed, suddenly tensed up. She stared at Shi Shanglan warily. Shi Shanglan's slender fingers gently stroked her fine hair. His fingertips were filled with a strong sense of pity. If Yan Xiaoyi had not kept looking into his eyes, she would have thought that Shi Shanglan was really in love with her. Shi Shanglan looked at her and smiled extremely gently. However, Yan Xiaoyi could not see any emotion in his eyes. Right. There was no emotion in Shi Shanglan's eyes. Even though he pretended to be in love. But in the end, that affection was fake. She could tell. Don't look at me like that. I will not be able to control myself. Shi Shanglan lowered his head gently and kissed her forehead. The man's gentle breath landed on her face. Yan Xiaoyi felt goosebumps all over her face. When he kissed her, she felt a chill run down her spine. Yan Xiaoyi even wanted to vomit. She cursed Shi Shanglan's entire body in her heart. She did not have the strength to struggle or scold Shi Shanglan. She could only passively endure Shi Shanglan's humiliation. She would rather die. Don't worry, I will not touch you for now. Shi Shanglan naturally felt Yan Xiaoyi's body tensing up. The corners of his lips curled up slightly. His lips moved away from her forehead and landed beside her ear. To be honest, if you're obedient enough, maybe I'll consider letting you truly become my wife. Yan Xiaoyi's body tensed up. She kept shrinking her body and tried her best to avoid Shi Shanglan's touch. His nearness made her feel disgusted. Become his wife? Spat on his face. But at the next moment, Yan Xiaoyi suddenly realized something. Shi Shanglan said he would not touch her for now. Then, what was Shi Shanglan's goal? Why did he trap her in this secret room? Recalling yesterday, he specially brought 4 invitations to the main courtyard for Yiqing Luo. Shi Shanglan's motive was Yiqing Luo. Shi Shanglan's motive was. He wanted to use her to threaten Yiqing Luo. He wanted to use her. She absolutely could not become Yiqing Luo's burden. Yan's mind started to think of over. Yan Hangyi's thoughts. Suddenly, her eyes lit up as she thought of something. She had Hangyi. Lan. Shi Shanglan carried her by the waist again. Shi Shang, Shao Li Li Xian Shi Shanglan and Shao Tian Shao 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 Shang Shangt. Yen Shao Yan's Yen shivered. Yen Shao Shao Yen said. Yen Shao shuddered. She felt a chill down her spine. In terms of family background, I am not worse than Xiao Jin. In terms of innate talent, Xiao Jin cannot be compared to me. In terms of looks and temperament, he is incomparable. Shi Shanglan smiled warmly. As soon as his voice fell, Yan Xiaoyi's body landed heavily on the wooden bed once again. The hard wooden board hit her back. Chapter 1803. Yes. Xiao Jin is inferior to you. Almost using all her strength, Yan Xiaoyi let out a low, hoarse voice in her rage. Although his voice was low, it could be heard in the quiet secret room. But I like Xiao Jin. I just love Xiao Jin. She enunciated each word with great force. Hearing this, Shi Shanglan's smile became even gentler. His knees were pressed against the side of the bed. He looked down at Yan Xiaoyi, who was lying on the bed without any resistance. Like? Love? He smiled warmly and said, but Xiaoyi, I am your fiancé. The person you should love is me. A person like you who doesn't even know how to love, and you still want me to love you? Yan Xiaoyi panted lightly, and the words she spat out became increasingly softer. The last 2 words had already become a stream of air. Not a single sound could be heard. Shi Shanglan's gentle eyes were like a painting. All right, good girl, don't force me to be too rough with you. Too violent? What did he mean? What did he want to do? A trace of panic flashed across Yan Xiaoyi's eyes. Before she could react, Shi Shanglan's body had already landed on her. Shi Shanglan. The soundless air current chided Shi Shanglan's name. Yan Xiaoyi was completely flustered. Didn't he say that he wouldn't touch her for the time being? Yan Xiaoyi's eyes widened, and her breathing quickened in that instant. Shi Shanglan's expression was still gentle and his smile was still warm. However, his actions were so ruthless that it was nauseating. His large palm caressed Yan Xiaoyi's delicate body wantonly. In the depths of his gentle eyes, a layer of lustful coldness gradually appeared. Even if he had no love for this woman. But with a beauty in his arms, he wanted to tease her. Shi Shanglan could not help but feel excited. His hands caressing Yan Xiaoyi's body became more and more wanton. His hand had just touched Yan Xiaoyi's skin. Yan Xiaoyi's entire body trembled, her weak and powerless body was also anxiously regaining some strength. He raised his hand and struggled, trying to break free from Shi Shanglan's restraint. However, this made Shi Shanglan even more fearless. Disgusting, what a disgusting feeling. Shi Shanglan actually dared to treat her like this. Yan Xiaoyi's eyes were burning with rage. She didn't want Shi Shanglan to touch her. She absolutely did not want it. Pa! There was a loud noise. Yan Xiaoyi struggled and slapped Shi Shanglan's face. Even though he was drugged, his body was weak. Yan Xiaoyi's slap left a bright red palm print on Shi Shanglan's face. Shi Shanglan, who was on top of her, suddenly stopped moving. Shi Shanglan propped himself up, the gentle expression on his face was already cracked. His face was gloomy, and he touched his cheek with one hand. A pair of eyes that had always been like flowers blooming in spring actually shot out an extremely biting cold intent. Yan Xiaoyi glared at him fearlessly. She couldn't help but sneer inwardly, this is his true face. He was a bloodthirsty, cruel demon. The corners of her mouth curled up, revealing a hint of cruelty in her evil smile. Without waiting for Shi Shanglan to react, Yan Xiaoyi used all her strength to lift her leg and forcefully hit the spot between Shi Shanglan's legs, 3 inches below. Ugh! Shi Shanglan's face turned pale from the pain. Taking this opportunity, Yan Xiaoyi's body rolled. When she rolled to the foot of the bed, she panted heavily and forced herself to run off the bed. However, when her feet stepped on the ground, she had no strength to stand steadily. Her entire body fell onto the ground softly. Yan Xiaoyi turned her head and looked at Shi Shanglan, who had fallen onto the bed and was covering a certain part. Chapter 1804. Bitch! Shi Shanglan gritted his teeth and spat out the word. He endured the pain, jumped down from the bed and quickly rushed to Yan Xiaoyi's side. This bitch dared to kick him there. And so hard. What kind of humiliation was this to a man? Shi Shanglan bent over and reached out to grab Yan Xiaoyi's hair. Whoosh! A ray of silver light was extremely dazzling under the dim candlelight in the secret room. Shi Shanglan's hand paused and he quickly rolled to the side. Thump thump thump. A few heavy sounds were heard. That silver light pierced into the ground where Shi Shanglan was standing. Those were 3 shiny silver money darts. The darts were so sharp that they almost pierced halfway into the ground. If the 3 money darts had pierced into Shi Shanglan's body, even if he didn't die, he would be half dead. Finally willing to come out? Shi Shanglan propped himself up and looked in the direction where the money darts came from. From a dark corner of the secret room, a slender figure slowly walked out. The green and white uniform wrapped around his tight and muscular body. The dim candlelight shone on the man's extremely ordinary face. I thought you were prepared to watch me sleep with her. Shi Shanglan's expression returned to its usual gentleness. But the tone of his voice was so cold that it could pierce one's bones. Yan Xiaoyi, who was lying on the ground, suddenly trembled. She panted lightly and turned to look at the man standing under the candlelight. His eyes were gradually tainted with a layer of mist. Qiao Jin, it was Qiao Jin. When was he in the secret room? Or, had he always been there? Why did he only come out now? She was just almost ked by Shi Shanglan. He saw it but didn't show himself. Yan Xiaoyi's heart was in so much pain that she found it hard to breathe. She pursed her lips tightly and her eyes were filled with coldness. Shi Shanglan, I gave you a chance. Qiao Jin slowly walked towards Yan Xiaoyi. His expression was solemn. His footsteps stopped beside Yan Xiaoyi. He bent over and wanted to carry Yan Xiaoyi. His hand just touched her body. The woman slapped his hand away. Qiao Jin's hand that was stretched out in midair suddenly froze. He raised his dark eyes and met Yan Xiaoyi's eyes. When he saw the look of despair in her eyes, his heart seemed to be violently strangled by something. Qiao Jin clenched his fists and suppressed the urge to pull her into his embrace. He only silently took out a golden pill and brought it to Yan Xiaoyi's lips. Yan Xiaoyi originally wanted to move her head away, unwilling to have anything to do with Qiao Jin. But when he saw the pill, she held it in, opened her mouth, and swallowed. This was the 100 severing pill which Yi Qing Luo had specially refined for all the brothers in the world group. The 100 dispelling pill could cure all kinds of poisons. In a short period of time, one would be immune to all kinds of poisons. This pill was something that the Brothers of the World group had prepared with each of them in case they needed it. Just now, Yan Xiaoyi wanted to take the opportunity to take the 100 Solutions pill. She was frightened by Shi Shanglan's sudden attempt to force himself on her. After taking the 100 Dispelling pill, she would be able to get rid of this kind of profound energy which had been dissolved, and her body was in a predicament where she didn't have any strength at all. After she regained her strength, then she would be able to rely on herself to leave this godforsaken place. Holding Qiao Jin's hand, after swallowing that 100 Dispelling pill, Yan Xiaoyi directly turned her head around and didn't look at him again. Chapter 1805. Shi Shanglan smiled warmly and said, "You don't have the right to take my life." Qiao Jin's expression darkened, and he raised his arm. A strong profound energy pulled the 3 gold coin darts out of the ground. Then, it shot straight towards Shi Shanglan. Qiao Jin's speed was extremely fast as he charged towards Shi Shanglan. Shi Shanglan didn't expect that Qiao Jin would dare to fight on his territory. Moreover, the place that was squeezed down by 3 inches was still aching from Yan Xiaoyi's earlier blow. Even when he walked, he felt a sharp pain in his body. Helpless, Shi Shanglan could only roll on the ground again, quickly rolling to the side to avoid the attack of the gold coin darts. However, Qiao Jin's palm wind had already landed. Shi Shanglan didn't have time to roll on the ground again. With a loud bang, Shi Shanglan's chest was hit by this palm. Instantly, a heart-wrenching feeling spread from his chest. Shi Shanglan groaned in pain, blood flowing out of the corner of his mouth. He quickly retreated a few steps, raising his hand to press on his chest. He fiercely widened his eyes, a sinister and ruthless glint in his eyes. "Guards! Men!" He raised his voice and shouted. The tightly shut door of the secret room suddenly opened. A dozen people dressed in night clothes charged into the secret room with large blades. "Young master!" The night walkers saw the injured Shi Shanglan and immediately went forward, shielding Shi Shanglan behind them. "Capture these 2 people. We definitely cannot let them escape." Shi Shanglan shouted. That face that was warm like jade seemed hideous and terrifying at this moment. The dozen night walkers received the order, and instantly attacked Qiao Jin and Yan Xiaoyi in an orderly manner. Those dozen people had clearly gone through special training. Their teamwork was also shockingly terrifying. In just a moment, they surrounded Qiao Jin and Yan Xiaoyi. Qiao Jin's expression was grave as he retreated to Yan Xiaoyi's side. "Have you rested well?" Yan Xiaoyi clenched her fists. She felt that her strength, the strength that belonged to her, was quickly returning. The profound heart jade in her heart could also feel the weak light of the profound heart jade. She took a deep breath and stood up with Qiao Jin's hand. "Thank you." The tacit understanding between them didn't require any verbal communication. She took the 100 Solutions pill, then continued to pretend to be weak and fell to the ground. In reality, she was waiting for the 100 Dispelling pill to display its full effect, to cure the poison in her body, and to restore her strength. On the other hand, Qiao Jin was in charge of attracting Shi Shanglan's attention and buying time for her to recover. These people are all at the Earth Profound Realm and above, they won't be easy to deal with. Qiao Jin reminded in a low voice. Yan Xiaoyi flipped her palm and a black scythe appeared in her hand. She gripped her scythe tightly, her eyes filled with fury. "Let's see if they're more powerful, or if my black scythe blade is more powerful." With that, Yan Xiaoyi's eyes were filled with killing intent. The scene of Shi Shanglan taking advantage of him filled his mind. She wanted nothing more than to kill Shi Shanglan to vent her anger. Both sides quickly clashed. Yan Xiaoyi was completely enraged. His attacks were extremely ferocious, as if he didn't care about his life. The black scythe blade in his hand flashed with a terrifying aura of death. While Qiao Jin fought against the night walkers, he also had to constantly pay attention to Yan Xiaoyi's movements. The current Yan Xiaoyi was in a state of rage. Chapter 1806. The strength of over a dozen Nightwalkers was indeed, as Qiao Jin guessed, formidable to the point it made one's hair stand on end. Moreover, that damned tacit understanding. Even if Yan Xiaoyi did not play by the rules when she was enraged, she was still able to make the dozens of Nightwalkers guard them tightly. In just a short while, the battle situation of 2 versus 14 high-level profound practitioners had a clear trend. Qiao Jin's side was at an extreme disadvantage. Both of them had dozens of wounds on their bodies. Yan Xiaoyi was tightly held in Qiao Jin's embrace, and the two of them continuously retreated backwards. After a while, the two of them retreated to a corner of the secret chamber. Qiao Jin narrowed his eyes and stared at the door of the secret chamber. In his heart, he was secretly calculating whether he could break through the encirclement of more than 10 Nightwalkers and bring Yan Xiaoyi out of the secret room. At the same time, he brandished the coin darts in his hands and continuously shot them at the Nightstalker's weak spot. The black scythe in Yan Xiaoyi's hand did not show any weakness. Every Nightwalker that charged forward, Yan Xiaoyi waved the blade of the black scythe, the sharp blade cutting iron like mud. There were already 2 Nightwalkers who were attacked by Yan Xiaoyi's black scythe blade. He was immediately cut in half along with his bones. And at the wound cut by the black scythe blade, it would also be surrounded by a ball of black deathly light. There was no way to stop the bleeding. After fighting for half an hour, the two sides were still in a deadlock. Qiao Jin and Yan Xiaoyi leaned against the wall and looked at them warily. When the Nightwalker saw the 2 Nightwalkers whose hands and shoulders were cut off and who were unable to stop the bleeding, he was shocked. He did not dare to step forward recklessly. At this moment, Shi Shanglan's pain at the spot 3 inches down had almost disappeared. At this moment, he saw that his men had yet to capture Qiao Jin and Yan Xiaoyi. His heart instantly became restless. Move faster. If the plan fails, I'll hold you responsible. The Nightwalkers looked at each other. For today's plan. Young Master had prepared for such a long time, and they had all seen it. They absolutely did not dare to take the blame for the failure of their plan. Once they took the blame, it would be a life worse than death. The Nightwalkers gripped the machetes in their hands tightly and slashed at the two of them again. Yan Xiaoyi had just recovered her strength. After another exhausting battle, he no longer had any strength left. Looking at the dozen or so Nightwalkers, their attacks became fiercer and fiercer. She gripped the black scythe tightly. Without giving her time to recuperate, she directly faced the attack of the Nightwalker. The coin darts in Qiao Jin's hands also rapidly struck the bodies of the Nightwalkers the moment she launched her attack. Suddenly, just as Yan Xiaoyi and Qiao Jin were attacking their targets, a lightning-fast figure suddenly appeared among the Nightwalkers. She saw a Nightwalker raising a machete high up and chopping down towards Yan Xiaoyi's head. Yan Xiaoyi had just waved the black sickle blade and split the Nightwalker in front of her. Suddenly, he felt an extremely strong killing intent coming towards him. She glanced sideways at the machete that was right in front of her. He was startled. There was no chance for him to dodge. She operated her profound jade heart, and used the power of her profound jade heart to immediately form a weak barrier. The machete landed on the barrier. Yan Xiaoyi's heart tightened even more, and she was just about to use her fastest speed to try her best to avoid it. But in the next instant, her body was tightly embraced by a pair of large hands. A chest that was as scorching hot as Shi Shanglan's, and as broad as Shi Shanglan's. But the feeling of nestling in this chest made her feel exceptionally at ease. Ugh! A muffled groan entered her ears. Chapter 1807. Qiao Jin, why did you rush up? Yan Xiaoyi felt something warm and sticky on her hand. Her expression froze as she pursed her pale lips tightly. Nightwalker's machete had landed on Xiao Jin's back. A bright red line of blood seeped out from it. The machete was smeared with poison. Fortunately, Yan Xiaoyi had formed a barrier in a moment of desperation. The barrier blocked the resistance of Nightwalker's machete. Otherwise, this machete could have directly chopped Xiao Jin into two. Xiao Jin leaned on her delicate shoulder as he panted heavily. Black blood seeped out from the corner of his mouth due to the poison invading his body. Are you stupid or what? Do I need you to act like a hero? It's not like I can't avoid it. Yan Xiaoyi felt the weight of the body pressing down on her gradually increase. She also knew that this machete had caused Xiao Jin a heavy injury. The sound of heavy breathing rang in his ears. He let out a low chuckle. Yan Xiaoyi's face was filled with anger from the laughter. She pushed against his chest with both hands and pushed him away forcefully. What time is it now, can't you? She had yet to finish her words. Her beautiful eyes collided with his ink-black eyes. For a moment, all the sounds were choked in her throat. Xiao Jin's eyes were filled with tenderness. The lips that were overflowing with blood slowly rose into an extremely faint arc. He looked at her. The gentleness in his eyes seemed to only be able to contain her alone. Yan Xiaoyi's heart beat rapidly. She was completely unable to control her wildly beating heart. Why would Xiao Jin show such a gaze to her? This gaze, it was as if she was his entire world. It's good that you're fine. He was still smiling as he spat out each word soundlessly. But Yan Xiaoyi heard it extremely clearly. Her beautiful eyes instantly reddened as a thin mist filled her eyes. What exactly did he want? Why, when she had decided to give up on him? He would always use various methods to give her hope. To make her think that he actually loved her very much? Why did he use such a method to stir up her feelings for him again? Large tears gushed out from Yan Xiaoyi's eyes. She could no longer restrain her emotions. Even now, the two of you still have the mood to flirt? Shi Shanglan walked out from the group of night walkers. His lips curled up gently, and his eyes were filled with warmth. Xiao Yi, as your fiancé, I can give you another chance. He extended his hand towards Yan Xiaoyi. Come with me. His gentle smile was extremely dazzling. Yan Xiaoyi hugged the man on top of her tightly. She lifted her arm gently, her fingertips brushing past Xiao Jin's thin lips. After that, she and Xiao Jin changed directions. Xiao Jin stood against the wall. She stood in front of Xiao Jin and looked coldly at Shi Shanglan. Just as she was about to speak, the man behind her suddenly released her slender waist. The weight on Yan Xiaoyi's body instantly lightened. She frowned and reached out to grab Xiao Jin's wrist. Do you really believe his nonsense? As soon as she finished speaking, Xiao Jin's large palm suddenly grabbed her hand. Then, he pulled hard. Yan Xiaoyi falls into Xiao Jin's arms. The thick smell of blood could not wash away the unique aura of the man. Yan Xiaoyi's heart violently trembled. She raised her eyes and looked in shock at the face that was right in front of her. An extremely ordinary face, but it was filled with an attractive charm. Especially that pair of dark eyes, which made one unable to look away. He did not push her toward Shi Shanglan. Ever since Shi Shanglan appeared, Xiao Jin had pushed her toward Shi Shanglan time and time again. Chapter 1808. This was the first time. Xiao Jin didn't push her to Shi Shanglan. If in the past, you treated Xiao Yi sincerely, I'm willing to hand Xiao Yi over to you. Xiao Jin's weak voice sounded as though he was barely breathing. He took a deep breath and continued, but now, I can confirm that Xiao Yi will not be happy if she follows you. I will not take Xiao Yi's happiness and bury it in your hands. Saying that, Xiao Jin tightened his grip on Yan Xiaoyi's waist. Even though there was a thin layer of clothing between them, Yan Xiaoyi could still clearly feel the boiling temperature from Xiao Jin's palm. Her red lips pursed slightly as her eyelids drooped down as she slowly leaned her head on Xiao Jin's shoulder. Xiao Jin's arms tightened as his ordinary and invincible face was filled with determination. Lan, no matter what, I will not hand Xiao Yi over to you. His words had just ended. The gold coin darts in Xiao Jin's hands were like scattered flowers as they shot towards Lan's direction. At the same time, Xiao Yi, who was leaning on Xiao Jin's shoulder, also flipped over as the black sickle blade in her hands slashed downwards. Lan's reaction was swift as he immediately flipped over to avoid Xiao Jin's attack. But those 10 overnight walkers weren't that lucky. The gold coin darts made a few whooshing sounds as they sank into their vitals. Even if there were night walkers who were lucky enough to avoid the gold coin darts. The next moment, it was Xiao Yi's black sickle blade. In just a moment, the entire secret room was dyed red with blood. Go! Xiao Jin shouted in a low voice. Xiao Yi kept her black sickle blade as her petite body suddenly stuffed into Xiao Jin's arms. Xiao Jin tightened his arms as he followed the gold coin darts, which opened up a path as his footsteps expanded. Yiqing Luo's set of footwork immediately made Xiao Jin's figure move strangely as he dashed towards the secret room's entrance. Xiao Jin kicked the door open as he speedily stepped out. Outside the secret room was a dim and long tunnel. Looking over, it was a patch of gray as nothing could be seen clearly. Xiao Jin and Xiao Yi didn't have the chance to think carefully. They could only choose to dash forward. Chase! The 5 night walkers who were still alive held their machetes as they shouted in anger. When the few of them dashed to the entrance, Lan calmly said, "No need to chase. Young master." These brothers were the ones they had trained with since they were young and had gone through life and death situations together. He could only watch helplessly as his brothers died in front of him. How could they not avenge their brothers? They have nowhere to run. Lan narrowed his gentle eyes, and the corners of his mouth curled into an extremely faint smile. That smile was filled with coldness, like frost. The anger on the faces of the 5 nightwalkers slowly faded away. Xiao Jin hugged Xiao Yi and fled to the back of the passageway. He didn't hear any footsteps behind him. Xiao Jin Kai released Xiao Yi's waist. When the warmth around her waist disappeared, Xiao Yi felt a sense of discomfort. Her body tensed up as she awkwardly averted her gaze and took a few quick steps forward. Xiao Jin didn't say anything and followed behind her. The two of them were silent for a moment. The atmosphere was inexplicably strange. Xiao Yi couldn't stop her heart from beating violently. She pursed her lips and decided to break the deadlock first. "Do you know what this place is?" Lan and the others actually didn't catch up. I feel. Logically speaking, it was absolutely impossible for Lan to let them escape. Otherwise, he would lose the bargaining chip to threaten Yiqing Luo. One must know that Yiqing Luo had an overlord following beside her. Chapter 1809. There must be a trap somewhere. Xiao Jin's gaze swept the surroundings and slowly followed behind Xiao Yi, saying in a deep voice, "This is the underground passageway of the treasure-gathering pavilion." Treasure-gathering pavilion? Xiao Yi turned back in astonishment. What is the relationship between Lan and Jubao Pavilion? Xiao Jin shook his head, "I'm not sure. However, since Lan dared to attack you in the territory of Treasure-Gathering Pavilion and clearly knew about the underground passageway of Treasure-Gathering Pavilion, he definitely has a close relationship with Treasure-Gathering Pavilion." Pausing for a moment, Xiao Jin's expression became somewhat solemn. "I guess that Lan is very likely one of the external forces of Treasure-Gathering Pavilion. They were the same as the Shi family." Xiao Yi's expression instantly turned solemn. She clenched her fists and was slightly annoyed with herself. Why didn't she investigate Lan's identity before this? On the contrary, Lan had investigated everything about her clearly. "Let's leave the tunnel first." Be careful. There might be assassins lying in ambush at the exit of the tunnel waiting for us. Xiao Jin glanced at Yan Xiaoyi and knew what she was thinking. Yan Xiaoyi responded with a soft "N." After taking a few steps, she bit her lower lip. Seemingly hesitating for a long time, she turned her head to look at Xiao Jin. How are your injuries? The poison has already been neutralized. This is just a flesh wound. It's not a big deal, Xiao Jin replied indifferently. Oh. Yan Xiaoyi said softly and turned her head away. She didn't continue asking. As mentioned before, each of them had 100 solutions pill on them. Xiao Jin gave Yan Xiaoyi his 100 solutions pill. And just now, Yan Xiaoyi had fed Xiao Jin that 100 solutions pill. Just as Shishang Lan mentioned asking Yan Xiaoyi to leave with him. Yan Xiaoyi took the opportunity to feed the 100 solutions pill into Xiao Jin's mouth. After that, Xiao Jin tightened his grip on Yan Xiaoyi's waist, telling her that the poison in his body had already been cured. After living together for a few years, the tacit understanding between the two of them had reached a point where there was no need for any verbal communication. One look. One movement. They would be able to work together flawlessly. Yan Xiaoyi's mind was filled with random thoughts. Suddenly, a series of orderly footsteps came from the tunnel ahead. The two of them halted their steps. Someone was there. There was someone in the secret passage. Had Shishang Lan's men caught up? Go. Let's go first. Xiao Jin pulled Yan Xiaoyi's hand, his broad palm wrapped around Yan Xiaoyi's hand. The two of them turned around and walked back in the direction they had just come from. However, he had only run a few steps. Another wave of orderly footsteps could be heard. There were people at the front and back of the passageway. No matter where they ran, they would die. Yan Xiaoyi looked left and right. What should we do? Can you still fight? Xiao Jin tightened his grip on Yan Xiaoyi's hand, his tone inexplicably strange. Yan Xiaoyi didn't think too much about it. All her attention was on their tightly clasped hands. She nodded and said in a trembling voice, I can still, Xiaoyi. Xiao Jin suddenly called out her name with a serious expression, his voice slightly grave. Yan Xiaoyi raised her head in surprise and looked at Xiao Jin. The dim light illuminated the solemn expression on Xiao Jin's face. Yan Xiaoyi could not help but be solemn and straighten her back. If. I'm saying if. Xiao Jin's voice was a little gloomy. The Overlord and Qing Luo are not able to rush over in time. I will protect you, even if I have to sacrifice everything. His last few words were spoken in an extremely soft voice. Yan Xiaoyi could only vaguely hear something about sacrifice, something about everything. But, it was merely these few indistinct words. Chapter 18:10. He didn't love her. Why would he spend so much effort to protect her? He even blocked a fatal knife for her. Was it because they had been brothers for so many years? But, why was it that she could see such deep feelings in Xiao Jin's eyes? Such feelings really didn't seem like the so-called brotherly love. Don't be in a daze. Xiao Jin pulled Yan Xiaoyi's wrist tightly, suddenly exerting force, pulling her into his embrace. Yan Xiaoyi was startled, her body slightly stiffening. Immediately, the man's warm lips were already pressed against her ear. His low and hoarse voice had a few unique magnetism. Xiaoyi, if we can leave Jubao Pavilion alive today, I have something to say to you. Ah. Yan Xiaoyi was startled again, raising her head in a daze, her eyes filled with confusion. She was about to ask Xiao Jin about the meaning of his words. But at this moment, Xiao Jin released her delicate body, only grabbing her hand and fiercely pulling her forward. Let's go. As he turned around, Xiao Jin's face was already flushed. Yan Xiaoyi was still in a daze, her mind filled with Xiao Jin's words. She hadn't finished digesting it. Her body suddenly fell forward. Yan Xiaoyi was unable to stabilize her body, suddenly falling forward. Qiao Jin's reaction was swift, his arms slightly exerting force, pulling Yan Xiaoyi into his embrace. This kind of force caused the two of them to be unable to stabilize their bodies. Qiao Jin's body, heavily crashed into the wall at the side. Yan Xiaoyi's entire body was completely wrapped in Qiao Jin's embrace. She wasn't injured at all. When she heard the sound of a man drawing in a breath of cold air from beside her ear, Yan Xiaoyi's heart panicked. She hadn't even opened her mouth to speak. Only a clear, creak sound was heard. The wall that Qiao Jin's back had crashed into suddenly split open into a huge hole. Qiao Jin lost the support of his strength, his body falling into the hole. Together with Yan Xiaoyi, who was in his embrace, they both fell into the hole. Gotcha. Just as the two of them fell into the hole, the wall closed again. The ground inside this hole was a steep slope that slid downwards. Qiao Jin's body had just fallen onto the ground. Like a top, he directly rolled forward a few rounds. Qiao Jin immediately tightened his arms, doing his best to protect Yan Xiaoyi. After about a dozen laps, Qiao Jin's back fiercely collided with something ice-cold. It stopped the two of them from tumbling down. Following Little Nine's presence, Dmo Xian and Yiqing Luo quickly found the underground secret room in Treasure Pavilion. However, there was no one left in the secret room. Yiqing Luo looked at the fresh blood on the ground and the obvious poisonous gas in the air, her slender brows creased slightly. She stroked Little Nine who had leapt into her arms and looked towards Dmo Xian. Ah Xian, there's indeed Xiao Yi and Jin Zi's aura here and the aura is rather faint. They should have left the secret room for at least one incense stick of time. The blood on the ground isn't theirs. Dmo Xian narrowed his long and narrow peach blossom eyes. They should have escaped, let's find them first. There was only one passageway leading to the secret chamber. They had just walked all the way from the tunnel to the secret room. No one was sighing. If Qiao Jin and Yan Xiaoyi escaped from the secret chamber. In this situation where there was only one path, it was impossible to escape. There was only one answer. This was a passageway or a secret room. There were other exits. Or other secret passageways. Little Nine, have you remembered the smell of West Shanglan? Yiqing Luo lowered her head and looked at Little Nine who was in her arms. Little Nine raised its head and its sharp fox mouth gave off a soft moan. Chapter 1811. Yiqing Luo's eyes shone. Little Nine, lead the way. Once we find Shi Shanglan, we will be able to find Jin Zi and Xiao Yi. Little Nine leapt down from Yiqing Luo's arms. The two of them followed behind Little Nine and soon stopped at a wall in the passageway. Yiqing Luo held the luminous pearl in her hand and her half-squinted eyes suddenly fixed on a certain spot on the wall. She leaned closer and her fingertips touched the wall. Jin Zi's blood. Her expression sunk slightly. This blood was sticky. Apparently, it had just been printed not long ago. Qiao Jin and Yan Xiaoyi should be nearby. Jin Zi is poisoned? Yiqing Luo was very sensitive towards poisonous gas and very quickly she sniffed out the faint poisonous gas in the blood. Although it was very faint, but this smell had already automatically broken down in Yiqing Luo's mind through the 100 refining pill. Luckily, she had foresight. When she was refining the pills, she had given each of them 100 refining pill. To be able to escape from the secret room and escape to the passageway. They should be fine for now. She must find them immediately. Suddenly, Yiqing Luo's petite body suddenly stiffened as the expression on her face revealed a sliver of disbelief. What's the matter? Dmo Xian sensed Yiqing Luo's reaction. Yiqing Luo looked at the blood on her fingers. This poison is not Nirvana Realm's poison. The medicinal herb composition which was analyzed by the 100 refining pill could not possibly be wrong. The 100 refining pill clearly told her about it. This poison was known as the parting calamity pill. As the name suggested, after being tainted, within a short 1 hour, the life star would perish. This was an extremely vicious poison. And the medicinal herbs used to refine this poison could not be found in Nirvana realm. At least, Yi Qing Luo had never seen or heard of the medicinal herbs used to refine it. If it's not Nirvana realm's poison, could it be? Dmo Xian's expression suddenly congealed. Do you know the name of the poison which Qiao Jin was inflicted with? Parting calamity pill. Yi Qing Luo replied, do you know the source of this poison? Parting calamity pill. Dmo Xian repeated these 3 words as his gaze dimmed. Lil Luo, if my guess is right. This matter, I'm afraid, might be a little tricky. Some forces outside the Nirvana realm have intervened in this matter. Yi Qing Luo quickly came to a conclusion. As far as she knew, the Nirvana realm was one of the lowest realms in this vast space. Except for the upper realm. There were also the various powers outside the 3 realms. For example, the dark forces. Compared to the Nirvana realm, those forces were all outstanding existences. Apart from an underground organization, there were actually other forces that had extended their claws to the Nirvana realm. Why does it feel like the current Nirvana realm was becoming more and more chaotic? Remember, stay close. Dmo Xian suddenly stretched out his long arm and clasped Yi Qing Luo's waist tightly. This sentence, remember it. Yes, 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 I will definitely not leave you. Yi Qing Luo hugged his waist. With a big Buddha like you around, even if other forces were to intervene, I'm not worried at all. Dmo Xian rubbed her head and pressed down hard as if he was threatening her. Yi Qing Luo raised her hand and grabbed the mischievous hand on her head as she lightly patted the back of his hand. All right, now you know the seriousness of this matter, let's first find Jin Zi and Xiao Yi. Following that, she shot her gaze towards Little Nine. Little Nine, why aren't we moving? Little Nine squatted on the ground, and it, who had transformed into a small fox, swinging its 9 tails, looked extremely adorable. Chapter 1812. The smell stopped. Yi Qing Luo and Dmo Xian exchanged glances. It's impossible for the scent to stop midway, unless he disappeared here. Yi Qing Luo looked at the direction of the blood stains on the wall. Suddenly, he exerted force and pushed against the wall. Kacha, a sound was heard. A hole suddenly appeared in the wall. There really is a secret passage. Yi Qing Luo frowned. Dmo Xian's gaze swept across the dark passage. Follow me closely. He took the lead to enter the cave, and after ascertaining the safety inside, he stretched out his hand towards Yi Qing Luo. Give me your hand. This man, he really took care of her meticulously. Stretching her hand into Dmo Xian's palm, she bent down and followed into the secret passage. Just as the tunnel was about to close up, a slender figure walked out from the darkness. The brown luxurious robe was warm and elegant. Wasn't it Shi Shanglan? Behind him was the skinny old man called Wuxia. Young master, they have already entered the soulless formation. Our plan will succeed soon. Wuxia's face was filled with joy as he congratulated Shi Shanglan sincerely. Shi Shanglan's smile did not diminish, it was still warm. Wuxia suddenly thought of something and a worried look appeared on his face. But Overlord followed him into the godless formation. I'm worried. With Overlord's strength, he might, impudent. Shi Shanglan's smile froze, and he berated in a stern voice. He turned around and slapped Wuxia's face. That gentle face was covered with a layer of greed and malevolence. The godless array formation is the strongest array formation of our godless island. Even if the people from the upper realm came, they would not be able to break through the godless array formation. What does 1 Dmo Xian amount to? Wuxia lowered his head. His tiny eyes narrowed slightly, revealing a trace of sinister treachery. Shi Shanglan looked coldly in the direction of the secret tunnel and snorted. Now, we just have to wait for the prey to fall into the trap. Yes, young master. Wuxia answered obediently. The two of them slowly walked to the wall and gently pressed it. The entrance of the secret passage was wide open, and the two of them stepped into it one after the other. Yiqing Luo held Dmo Xian's hand tightly as the luminous pearl illuminated everything in the secret passage clearly. The two of them walked extremely slowly on the steep slope. Yiqing Luo discovered Xiao Jin's blood stains on the ground once again. Xiao Jin and Yen Xiao Yi indeed entered this secret passage. Just what kind of place was this treasure-gathering pavilion? It was an underground tunnel with a hidden passage. They walked all the way to the bottom of the slope. There was no other way out. Although it was said that there was no way out, it was actually not that there was no way out. In front of him, he was blocked by a stone wall that could fit a person. The stone wall was covered with a layer of white light. The white light completely enveloped the stone wall. But when Yiqing Luo touched it, it was a real stone wall. What's going on? Yiqing Luo withdrew her hand and looked at Dmo Xian in puzzlement. Xiao Jin's bloodstains also disappeared beside this stone wall. She was sure. Xiao Jin and Yen Xiao Yi had entered this secret passage before. And now, they didn't see Xiao Jin and Yen Xiao Yi. Which meant that there must be a path to head towards here. This stone wall which was emitting white light should be the key. Dmo Xian narrowed his peach blossom eyes as he carefully sized up this stone wall. In his subconscious, he sensed an ominous premonition. This stone wall in front of him gave him an extremely uneasy feeling. But seeing Yiqing Luo's worry towards Xiao Jin and Yen Xiao Yi. Chapter 1813. He was clearer than anyone else about Yiqing Luo's character. If he were to let Yiqing Luo leave now, or use forceful methods to bring her away, it would only attract a bigger backlash from Yiqing Luo. Although Yiqing Luo wouldn't get into a conflict with him because of his brother's matters. But to put her in a difficult position and make her sad. He couldn't do it. The girl he fell in love with was loyal and affectionate. It was absolutely not to protect his own life, but to give up the chance to save his brother. Dmo Xian stretched out his hand and held Yiqing Luo's little hand tightly. His obsidian-like peach blossom eyes gazed deeply at Yiqing Luo's face. He lowered his head and his lips gently landed on her forehead. The scorching breath was a little heavy. She understood Dmo Xian. Just like how Dmo Xian understood her. Yiqing Luo could clearly feel the strong pressure emitted from Dmo Xian. Her heart trembled slightly as a sense of uneasiness arose from the bottom of her heart. This place was very dangerous. Dmo Xian had already sensed the danger here. To be able to make Dmo Xian feel the danger and become serious. It was enough to prove that the hidden danger in this secret tunnel was beyond her imagination. Even Dmo Xian felt the danger. Then wouldn't Xiao Jin and Yen Xiao Yi be? Don't be afraid, I'm here. Dmo Xian's gentle kiss gently rubbed against her disgust. His slender fingers clasped her little hand tightly. 10 fingers intertwined. His warm breath sprayed onto her face. He firmly and gently repeated, I will bring the three of you back safely. Yiqing Luo's heart trembled fiercely. Her slightly creased brows were smoothed by his gentle lips. His firm voice made her uneasy heart gradually calm down. She stretched out her hand and looped it around his firm waist. Her elegant voice was filled with emotions. Ah Xian, I know that this request is very capricious, but to give up on saving them and leave with you alone, I really can't do it. She buried her head into his arms. I've understood a logic since young. Living in this world, only oneself is the most reliable. No matter what, I'm used to relying on my own strength to achieve whatever goals I want to achieve, and have never thought of relying on anyone." She paused for a moment. Following that, she raised her head and fixed her gaze on Dmo Xian, "But ever since I met Xian, I'm getting more and more used to relying on you. As long as you're around, I'm not afraid of anything and I'm full of confidence in everything." A warm smile appeared on her face. A bright smile bloomed at the corner of her mouth. "Xian, promise me. Not only will I, Xiao Yi, and Jin Zi be safe, you must be safe as well." The tenderness in the young lady's gaze made Dmo Xian's heart flutter. He clasped Yiqing Luo's lower jaw as he lowered his head and kissed her pink lips. This kiss was gentle with a bit of roughness, deeply absorbing the sweetness in Yiqing Luo's mouth. This kiss, Yiqing Luo's hands tightly circled around his waist as her body turned soft. Dmo Xian released her lips and his breathing was heavy. "The rest, we'll go back and ask for it." She panted, and with a weak and soft voice, she softly spat out a word, "All right." Dmo Xian held her tightly. After a while, when Yiqing Luo's consciousness recovered, Dmo Xian was about to release his profound qi to forcefully enter the stone wall which was enveloped in white light. Suddenly, a gentle laughter came from afar, "Ha ha ha. Even at death's door, you're still so affectionate, you're really worthy of being the overlord and the rumored heroine." When the voice entered her ears, Yiqing Luo's slightly blurred eyes suddenly became clear. Chapter 1814. Shishang Lan. When Yiqing Luo saw who it was, her gaze turned piercingly cold. "Where are Jin Zi and Xiao Yi?" Shishang Lan smiled warmly. "Qing Luo, don't be so anxious." He was smiling. His smile was as gentle as usual. Yiqing Luo's eyes sunk slightly. "Shishang Lan, there are no outsiders here and no devil classes students, you don't need to put on an act in front of me." Shishang Lan's smile. It made Yiqing Luo's brows creased tightly. She hated Shishang Lan's smile. And hated Shishang Lan's smile. It was this gentle gentleman's mask, attracting the group of youths in devil class who were ignorant of the ways of the world, deceiving the feelings of devil class's students. "Yeah, I thought my disguise was flawless." Shishang Lan pretended to be surprised as his eyes were filled with a gentle smile. "I've been wearing this mask for so long, I almost thought that I have such a character. Speaking of this, as long as I use this face, this mask, I can easily play those brothers of yours in the palm of my hand." He touched his own face as his smile became even gentler. "This face is rather useful." Yiqing Luo's brows tightened. He didn't say this matter was good. The moment he said it, Yiqing Luo had the urge to beat him up. As though he sensed the change in Yiqing Luo's emotions, Shishang Lan's gentle smile deepened. "Since Qing Luo had already seen through my disguise, based on Qing Luo's position in that bunch of fools' hearts, they should choose to believe you, isn't that so?" These words were said in a weird tone, filled with insolence. Apparently, the meaning behind Shishang Lan's words. He was ridiculing Yiqing Luo that she wasn't as popular as she thought she was. He was ridiculing that even if she really told those youngsters in devil class about his suspicions, those people might not trust her. He was flaunting his position in the hearts of devil class's students. Even if she was Yiqing Luo, the mental pillar of devil class. Wasn't Yan Xiao Yi a living example? Yiqing Luo's brows turned slightly cold. Her eyes were filled with a vicious aura. She wasn't angry about what Shishang Lan said, devil class's students wouldn't trust her or something. It was the word "fool" that Shishang Lan said. Shishang Lan saw Yiqing Luo's expression turning gloomier and gloomier. An insolent smile that was completely different from the gentle jade-like smile appeared on his face. However, in the next instant, suddenly, a slap landed on his face. "Pa!" The crisp sound of the slap was extremely loud in the quiet secret passage, and it even echoed in the air. A bright red palm print appeared on Xishanglan's pale face. The burning pain caused Xishanglan to open his mouth and curse loudly. Even his muscles were in extreme pain. How dare you! Wuxia finally reacted and leaped in front of Xishanglan. But he discovered that Yiqing Luo had already returned to Dmo Xian's side. It was as if he hadn't moved at all. But Yiqing Luo's waving hand and her pitiful look towards Dmo Xian had exposed the fact that she had slapped Xishanglan earlier. Ah Xian, he's so thick-skinned. My hand hurts. Dmo Xian held her little hand and gently caressed it. I helped you peel off his face. Yiqing Luo smiled brightly as she nodded her head vigorously. A crack appeared on Xishanglan's gentle mask. Chapter 1815. Yiqing Luo curled her lips and smiled. No, I'm only warning you once. If you dare to verbally abuse my brother, the next time, it won't be as simple as a slap. You. Xishanglan grimaced in pain, blood seeped out from the corner of his mouth. It could be seen how much strength Yiqing Luo had used in that slap earlier. He was right. Yiqing Luo had used her real strength. There was not the slightest bit of profound qi mixed in. This kind of slap was a bone-piercing pain. Don't get too full of yourself. The students of Devil class are just too young and don't know how sinister the human heart is. But it doesn't mean that just because you treat them a little better, they will repay you wholeheartedly. I won't tell them that my suspicion of you isn't because I'm afraid that they'll stand on your side, not trust me, or have a conflict with me. But I'm just using you, to tell those young kids in Devil class, what is called a human heart is unpredictable, what is called a human heart is sinister. Humans had to experience pain and fall once before they would learn from their mistakes. Moreover, people needed to experience some things for themselves to understand some principles. Since Xishanglan wanted to make use of the students of the Devil class, then Xishanglan would make use of him. Once Xishanglan's true colors were exposed, these students would understand that not everyone was trustworthy. Hearing Yiqing Luo's words, Xishanglan only felt that his pride had been ruthlessly trampled on. He had always thought that his plan was flawless. No one could see through his acting skills. He used his gentleness to surround those who trusted him wholeheartedly. Then he would make use of those idiots whom Yiqing Luo valued, to deal with her. But when he realized that all his assumptions were just self-righteous, the pride in Xishanglan's heart was shattered. He clenched his fists, suppressing the anger surging in his chest. He knew Yiqing Luo's ability. He also knew how powerful Dmo Xian was. Appearing here, was merely to see Yiqing Luo pleading bitterly because Qiao Jin and Yan Xiaoyi were in his hands. But he had not expected that he was so infuriated by Yiqing Luo that he almost threw up blood. Xishanglan clenched his fist. He had always been good at scheming. He had always been able to calculate everything in an orderly manner. There was no way he would lose to a 15-year-old girl. Yiqing Luo, you have the time to bicker with me, but I think your two brothers probably don't have that much time to wait for you. Xishanglan raised his hand to wipe off the blood on the corner of his lips as he stared coldly at Yiqing Luo, sneering endlessly. As expected, Yiqing Luo's face sunk. Xishanglan, I don't care who you are or whether the force behind you is from outside the Nirvana realm. I only want to tell you one thing. Her eyes were filled with a piercingly cold light. If Xiao Yi and Jin Zi are heavily injured, I will uproot you and the power behind you. She enunciated each and every word clearly. The viciousness in her eyes was very obvious. That gaze caused Xishanglan's heart to contract. Not waiting for him to retaliate, Yiqing Luo's extremely cold voice was heard once again, don't doubt whether I have that ability or not. I have a way to exterminate the dark forces. You, Xishanglan. I can do the same. After finishing this sentence, Yiqing Luo no longer had the intention to tangle with Xishanglan. She didn't need to find out the whereabouts of Yan Xiaoyi and Xiao Jin from Xishanglan. Chapter 18:16. Xishanglan was right about one thing. Xiao Jin and Yan Xiaoyi probably didn't have time to wait for her. She couldn't waste any more time on a useless Xishanglan. Dmo Xian unleashed his profound energy. Their fingers intertwined. The white glow instantly enveloped the both of them. Immediately following that, Dmo Xian and Yiqing Luo stepped into the stone wall. Slut! Xishanglan stared at the stone wall viciously as he clenched his fists tightly. This young patriarch wants to see what ability you have after entering the godless array, to destroy this young patriarch's forces. Wuxia shot a glance at his young patriarch who was in a frenzy and immediately lowered his head. The expression on his face was somewhat solemn. His young master could be said to be resourceful and shrewd. But why was it that in front of Yiqing Luo, he was so easily angered? And what made Wuxia even more shocked was that was Yiqing Luo's ability. Recalling the last time, which was when Yiqing Luo just entered Heavenly Academy, the three of them were in Heavenly Academy's backyard, trying to snatch Yiqing Luo's profound phoenix ring. Yiqing Luo's profound grade was obviously extremely low. The last time they failed in Yiqing Luo's hands. That was because they didn't know Yiqing Luo well, hence they didn't know about her martial arts and strange movements. And they felt another person's presence. Thinking of that person, a strange expression appeared on Wuxia's face, but it quickly returned to normal. And this time round, when Yiqing Luo slapped Xishanglan, he hadn't reacted in time. Yiqing Luo had already completed her action and returned to her original position. It could be seen that this young lady who could use her own ability to seal the King of Darkness's consciousness completely. It wasn't just because of good luck. The uneasiness in Wuxia's heart was magnified once again. After passing through the stone wall, Yiqing Luo's pupils suddenly widened. Because the scene in front of her eyes. She didn't know how to describe her feelings right now. In front of her was a stretch of tall buildings, people and cars. Her ears were ringing with various car horns which she hadn't heard for a long, long time. She was now standing in the 21st century. The era which belonged to her. How was this possible? How did she return to the 21st century? Lil Luo, what's the matter? The man in front sensed the change in Yiqing Luo's emotions as he slowly turned his head back. He had a peerless face and a gentle smile. Dressed in a purple robe, he stood on the streets of the 21st century. It was so intoxicating. Yiqing Luo's heart was unable to conceal the agitation in her heart as she clenched tightly onto Dmo Xian's tightly intertwined hands. Ah Xian, do you know where this place is? Dmo Xian smiled slightly, very unfamiliar and very surprised, but little Luo, looks very happy. Yes. I'm very happy. Yiqing Luo's voice was trembling. She held Dmo Xian's hand tightly as her face was filled with joy. Xian, do you know, this is my hometown. I was born here and grew up here. Yiqing Luo didn't want to hide her real identity from Dmo Xian. Although, to her, she had completely treated herself as Nirvana Realm's Yiqing Luo. But when she stood in front of the familiar 21st century, she then realized that she was ultimately not that Nirvana Realm's Yiqing Luo. Dmo Xian laughed lightly as he stretched out his hand to pull her into his embrace. Your hometown, then you should bring me around. I want to see the place where Lil Luo, grew up. His voice was extremely gentle. Yiqing Luo felt an indescribable strangeness. She wanted to raise her head to look at Dmo Xian's expression. Chapter 18:17. Ah Xian. Yiqing Luo whispered softly and wanted to raise her head. But the moment she moved, the palm on the back of her head exerted more force. The strange feeling in Yiqing Luo's heart continued to magnify. Just as Yiqing Luo wanted to resist Dmo Xian. Above her head floated his mellow voice, "Little Luo, this is the place where you grew up. I'm so excited." His voice was slightly trembling. The hand holding her body gradually tightened. The familiar sandalwood smell lingered in her nose. The strange feeling in Yiqing Luo's heart gradually dispersed. That was right. This place was an extremely unfamiliar place to the ancient Dmo Xian. And it was the place where she grew up. Dmo Xian's mood had such a huge change, which was a matter of course. But Yiqing Luo, who was buried in the man's arms, did not see it. The peerless man on top of her head had a gentle smile on his face, but it did not reach his eyes. That shimmering peach blossom eyes flashed with a horrifying cold glint. Faintly, there was a bit of red glow. All of a sudden, 8 spider-like black tentacles extended from his body. The tentacles bared their fangs and brandished their claws towards the young lady in his arms. The red glow in his eyes became more and more dazzling. It made those peach blossom eyes look extremely demonic. The black tentacles seemed to want to imprison Yiqing Luo and send her body towards Dmo Xian's chest. At this moment, Dmo Xian's body was like melting mud, as Yiqing Luo in his arms slowly merged into his body. And the young lady nestled in Dmo Xian's arms. But she was totally unaware of all these. The 8 black tentacles, bit by bit, tried to enter Yiqing Luo's body. Just as the tentacles were 1 centimeter away from her back. Yiqing Luo's body, suddenly a ray of red glow appeared. The tentacles were fiercely bounced back. Dmo Xian's body swayed slightly as his body became tense. "Ah Xian, what's the matter?" Yiqing Luo didn't know what happened. She didn't notice the change in this Dmo Xian. She only suddenly sensed that Dmo Xian's body was slightly stiff. Dmo Xian's eyes were filled with malevolence as he glared fiercely at the young lady in his arms. When the girl broke free from his grip and forcibly raised her head, she suddenly felt a chill run down her spine. Dmo Xian's reddened eyes swiftly reverted back to the pitch-black obsidian color. The 8 feelers also retracted in an instant. "Ah Xian, are you not used to this place?" Yiqing Luo raised her hand, wanting to caress Dmo Xian's face. There was a lot of sweat on his forehead. Dmo Xian hurriedly avoided her hand and released her delicate body. "No, nothing, Lil Luo, first bring me to the place where you used to stay to take a look." Yiqing Luo's hand froze in mid-air, slightly stunned. Ah Xian would never avoid her touch. "Little Luo, Seeing that she was standing at the same spot, not moving for a long time. Dmo Xian stood in front of Yiqing Luo, raised his hand and grabbed her wrist. Under his tugging, Yiqing Luo took a few steps forward. Her gaze fell on the hand on her wrist. Warm palms, slender fingers. Very familiar, it was the big palm in her memory. But Yiqing Luo faintly sensed something strange. But the source of this strange feeling, she had no way of knowing. The person in front of her shouldn't be the fake Dmo Xian, right? Chapter 18:18. No, that's not right. From the moment they passed through the stone wall that was flickering with white light, Dmo Xian was worried that they would be separated. He intertwined his fingers and held her tightly in his hands. Until the 21st century. Their hands had never parted. She was very confident in her perception. If this Dmo Xian was a fake, she must be able to sense it. But, the person in front of him, whether it was his appearance or the aura he emitted, was very familiar. Dmo Xian. How could he be a fake? His heart was in a mess. Dong! Yiqing Luo's face crashed heavily onto the man's hard chest. She covered her nose in pain and looked up at him. Dmo Xian had unknowingly stopped his footsteps. He slightly furrowed his brows and looked at her face with a slightly heavy gaze. His tone was somewhat steady. Lil Luo'er, do you not wish for me to know about your past life? Yiqing Luo's hand that was covering her nose paused. Her eyes met his. There was a faint suspicion in his heart. When she met his gaze, she inexplicably wanted to believe him. How could that be? Yiqing Luo stabilized her state of mind as she smiled. All along, I've wanted to bring you to the place where I used to live, but I've never had the chance. Dmo Xian's peach blossom eyes rippled. The ripples were like a huge net that could capture one's soul. Layers upon layers, enveloping Yiqing Luo's heart. But your expression tells me that you don't want me to appear here. His slender fingers gently caressed Yiqing Luo's forehead. A warm touch brushed across the skin of her face. Yiqing Luo's petite body trembled slightly as she shrunk back unnaturally, avoiding his fingertips' touch. I didn't. Dmo Xian sighed softly. Lil Luo, you know that I can't bear to make things difficult for you. If you're unwilling, I won't force you. No, it's not like that. Yiqing Luo lowered her eyes, not knowing how to express her feelings at this moment. How was she going to tell Dmo Xian that she had just suspected that he was a fake Dmo Xian? Under the current situation, Dmo Xian was obviously a little angry. If she mentioned her suspicions about him again, wouldn't that be adding fuel to the fire? Seeing Yiqing Luo lowering her head, Dmo Xian's glistening pupils gradually turned gloomy. Inside its body, those 8 black tentacles were stirring, trying to entangle Yiqing Luo tightly. Dmo Xian restrained his agitation and maintained his calm tone. All right, I'll stop teasing you. It's rare to see Lil Luo'er's hometown, let's take a look around first. The girl in his arms suddenly stiffened. After that, the young girl raised her head. Xian, do you know where this place is? Dmo Xian smiled faintly. Little Luo'er's hometown. Yiqing Luo nodded. Then do you still remember why we returned to my hometown from Nirvana realm? The gentle smile on Dmo Xian's face froze. Of course I remember. You don't know, or have you forgotten? Hearing Dmo Xian hemming and hawing, Yiqing Luo's lips suddenly curled upwards, revealing a sly smile. Immediately after, Dmo Xian felt his arms lightened, and the warmth attached to his chest dissipated at this moment. The young girl in his arms unknowingly broke free from the restraint of his arms. Chapter 18-19. Dmo Xian looked at Yiqing Luo and nodded with a smile. Speaking of this, even I'm seeing Lil Luo'er's hometown for the first time. His gaze swept across the busy streets, as well as the shops on both sides of the road that shone with all kinds of strange lights. The people walking back and forth on the sidewalk were dressed in appalling clothes. Even I was shocked. Xiao Yi and Jin Zi might not be able to adapt to it either. Dmo Xian said as he took a step closer to Yiqing Luo. Lil Luo, let's go look for the both of them first. Yiqing Luo smiled, but I don't want to go look for them with you now. Dmo Xian halted his approaching footsteps. Isn't it faster to split up? Yiqing Luo added another sentence while beaming. The restless Dmo Xian was just about to unleash his aura, but like a punctured balloon, it instantly died down. Lil Luo, I'm worried about you. Dmo Xian took another step towards Yiqing Luo. Although this is your hometown, but it is after all not in the Nirvana realm, it's too dangerous here. Yiqing Luo's lips curled up delicately. Her body was as light as a butterfly as she suddenly took a few steps back. With a flash, he leaped onto a nearby bridge. She supported herself with one hand on the modern stone bridge as she smiled and waved at Dmo Xian. Xian, don't worry, I'm more familiar with my hometown than anyone else. Let's go look for Jin Zi and Xiao Yi first, and after we found them, we'll we'll meet up here. The moment he turned around, the smile on Yiqing Luo's face suddenly disappeared. What replaced it was a solemn and dignified atmosphere. That person was not Dmo Xian. Although Yiqing Luo was unable to explain why she and Dmo Xian had stepped into that white light stone wall together, with their fingers intertwined. He could even replace Dmo Xian without anyone knowing. But Yiqing Luo was completely certain now. That person was absolutely not Dmo Xian. If it was Dmo Xian, he wouldn't have repeatedly requested for her to bring him around, or bring him to the place where she used to stay, and such requests. Once, twice. She only thought that Dmo Xian cared about her too much. But 3 times, 4 times, furthermore, he made such a request when Xiao Jin and Yan Xiaoyi's life and death were still unknown. It couldn't help but make Yiqing Luo suspicious. Because Dmo Xian knew how much she valued and cared for her brother. Why would she delay her search for Xiao Jin and Yan Xiaoyi just to see the place where she had grown up? She knew that person was not Dmo Xian. But it was impossible to guess what motive he had for pretending to be Dmo Xian. She also did not know the other party's identity. Under such circumstances, she could not forcefully expose that he was not Dmo Xian. Xiao Jin and Yan Xiaoyi were waiting for her rescue. Her Xian must be looking for her everywhere. She had to find them immediately. She had just crossed the bridge and entered a high-class shopping mall when Yiqing Luo discovered another strange thing. Previously, when she and Dmo Xian were standing in the middle of the road, there were people coming and going all around, the traffic was heavy. She even leaped onto the bridge. It didn't attract anyone's attention. Obviously, the people here could not see her and Dmo Xian. But, when she rushed into the shopping mall, she could clearly feel the gazes of the people who were shopping on the street. There were also people pointing at her and whispering about something. Yiqing Luo's hearing was sharp, even if she wasn't listening carefully. Chapter 1820. Who's that beauty? Why is she wearing an ancient costume? Could it be a big star filming a movie? She's so beautiful, she must be a big star. Let's go take a look and find out what movie the big star is filming. This ancient costume suits her too well. Just based on this face, I will definitely chase after her till the end. After a while, Yiqing Luo's back was already surrounded by a large group of people. Looking at the modern clothes in front of her, Yiqing Luo had a feeling that it was a lifetime ago. Until she was surrounded by a group of people. Yiqing Luo reacted. She wanted to escape, but she was surrounded by those people. So many people were staring at her. If she used her light body technique to escape, in less than half a day, she would probably be treated as a monster. She might even be caught and dissected. What was going on? Wasn't this world an illusion created by Shi Shanglan? Even Dmo Xian was fake. Wasn't everything here fake as well? Why, she felt that it was so real. She almost thought that she had passed through the white stone wall and traveled back to the 21st century. She couldn't judge the authenticity of everything in front of her. Yiqing Luo didn't dare to act rashly. "Lass, can you hear my voice?" Suddenly, a voice emerged in Yiqing Luo's mind. Yiqing Luo was pushed by the crowd and her eyes suddenly lit up. Old Man Tsang. In this place, the connection between Old Man Tsang and her had not disappeared. Phew. I finally got in touch with you. Old Man Tsang took a deep breath. Finally, what do you mean? Old Man Tsang activated the vision function in the Azure Dew bracelet. Seeing the current situation, he said, "Find a quiet place first and listen to me." Yiqing Luo was surrounded by a group of people until she couldn't breathe. Originally those people chased her to ask if she was a star and what movie she was filming. Yiqing Luo only shook her head in denial. This time, she simply admitted that she was a star. Then she used the excuse of rushing to the set to film. As for what movie it was, she would find out after a few months. Finally, she escaped from those people. Yiqing Luo expressed that she was indeed not suitable to get along with the modern people. In the Nirvana realm, no matter how much the commoners liked someone, they would reservedly stand at a distance and watch silently. Yiqing Luo had not discovered it. While she was trying to get away and find a quiet place. Not far away from the shopping mall, a strange person covered in black sportswear with a hood covering his entire face stopped in his tracks. The strange man raised his head. Even the hood revealed a pair of sinister and crimson eyes. His scarlet pupils reflected the image of a red-clothed girl in an ancient costume who had left in a hurry. His pupils constricted slightly. That was Yiqing Luo? How could she appear here? The strange man's crimson eyes were filled with astonishment. Just as the freak was about to catch up and confirm the girl's identity, the red-clothed girl was nowhere to be seen. The strange man staggered a few steps back, his body trembling slightly. After thinking for a while, he turned around and quickly walked out of the mall. Yiqing Luo finally found the toilet in the mall and squeezed into one in the corner. She wiped the sweat on her forehead. Old man Tsang, is this the real world or an illusion created by Shi Shanglan based on the world in my memory? Star. Aren't you afraid of attracting the people from the upper realm to maintain the balance in the Nirvana realm and make a move on Godless Island? Yiqing Luo cried out in surprise. In order to deal with her, he even took out a taboo array formation. Should she feel honored? Once the soulless formation is set up, as its name implies, even gods will be unable to escape once they enter the formation. Old man Tsang sighed softly. So, not to mention Xiao Jin and Xiao Yi, those two fellows, if they enter the soulless formation, just the overlord lad, I'm afraid he will be trapped here. The beauty of the soulless formation is that it targets a person's inner heart, which is an array that attacks one's heart. It has thousands of changes and it's an instantaneous change. Perhaps in the previous instance, you need to use your intellect to break the array. In the next instance, you need to use your strength to break the array. Chapter 1822. Then, the reason why I appeared in the era I grew up in, is because I still have some thoughts about this era. If it all changed according to the changes in the heart. That was the 21st century she was in now. What was there that could attack her heart? And the most important point, I haven't told you. Old man Tsang fixed his eyes on Yiqing Luo, his eyes solemn. The godless array is not the illusion you think it is. Not an illusion? Yiqing Luo stood up and stepped on the toilet lid. You said, this is the real world? Damn! She had really returned to the 21st century? You can say that. Old man Tsang nodded seriously. In this vast world, there are all kinds of big and small planes, and each plane has its own independent living space. The era you are talking about is also one of the planes in the Kangmang continent. As for why you entered this plane after the godless array, I have no way of knowing the answer. Old man Tsang's spirit body flew one round around Yiqing Luo's head. Luo girl, as smart as you are, you should have long noticed the secret you are hiding. Yiqing Luo's foot on the toilet gradually retracted. Yes, she did notice something. After all, anyone who found out that they had the one and only divine phoenix profound heart jade in this world, that even the divine realm was envious of and coveted, and that they had extremely strong cultivation talent, they would have doubts about their own physique. Especially when she obviously had an excellent physique. But her bones were changed, and she became a waste without any cultivation talent. Yiqing Luo increasingly felt that she was not simple. Although in the beginning, she used her identity as the young matriarch of the Three Springs sect as an excuse. But she still couldn't convince herself. The Three Springs sect was rumored to be the guards of the God Realm Emperor, stationed in the West Continent, guarding the tomb of the God Realm Emperor. And as the successor of the Three Springs sect, the descendant of the God Realm Emperor's guard, it wasn't unreasonable for him to have exceptional talent. But after seeing such a scumbag father, Yiqing Luo was unable to link her own innate talent and Three Springs sect together. Unless she had inherited her mother's talent. But her memories of her mother were too old. So old that she couldn't recall it. She really couldn't conclude. The fact that you've come to this plane may have been preordained. Old Man Tsang took a deep look at Yiqing Luo. Lass, this plane is very dangerous for you. This is a real plane, a real world. Once you get lost in this world, you will be assimilated into this plane and finally be completely swallowed by the godless array. This was the terrifying part of the soulless formation. Unknowingly, he was devoured. Even when they died, they might not even know how they died. Just like just now. Yiqing Luo was surrounded by numerous people in the shopping mall. If it was a person with extremely high vanity, under the flattery, he sank into vanity. It was very likely that he would really be devoured by this kind of greed and vanity. Finally, this old man will give you a piece of advice. The color of Old Man Tsang's spirit body gradually faded. The white, curling mist caused Old Man Tsang's body to become increasingly transparent and illusory. In this plane, there are people more powerful than you. Moreover, those two little fellows, Xiao Jin and Xiao Yi, are definitely not in this plane that you're in. Chapter 1823. Speaking of Dmo Xian, Yiqing Luo was rather worried. Xian and I entered the godless array together, but the Xian I met earlier was fake. So, would Dmo Xian have met the fake her? That Dmo Xian was so real. If it wasn't for Xiao Jin and Yan Xiao Yi, she really could not detect Dmo Xian's abnormality at all. If Dmo Xian met the fake her, can you recognize it? That's the devouring formation eye of the soulless formation. Old Man Tsang explained, the devouring formation's eye can target everyone's heart and transform into the person you value the most in your heart, or the person closest to you, in order to gain your trust. When your body and mind are at their most relaxed and you trust it wholeheartedly, it will fuse you into its body and become one with it. Fuse into one. Yiqing Luo felt a chill down her spine. Is what you said true? That was when she was with that Dmo Xian. He really trusted that Dmo Xian wholeheartedly. However, she didn't seem to feel like she was being devoured. You have the divine phoenix profound heart jade to protect you. The devouring array I can't touch you for now. Old Man Tsang's body was becoming more and more transparent. You'd better not be alone with the devouring formation eye. The most important thing you have to do now is, find that Dizun boy. As for what we're going to do next, we'll make other plans. Old Man Tsang, your body. Yiqing Luo's eyes suddenly congealed as she reached out to touch Old Man Tsang. But when he touched it, there was only a white mist. Old Man Tsang's figure completely disappeared before his eyes. I'm fine. In his mind, Old Man Tsang's slightly tired voice sounded. This plane has suppressed my mental strength too much. In order to get in touch with you, I've used up too much of my mental strength, causing me to be unable to maintain my spiritual form. Yiqing Luo heard what he said and from his tone, he was indeed too exhausted, so she heaved a sigh of relief. I need to sleep for a while. During this time, you should go and look for Dizun. With that, the connection between her and Old Man Tsang was cut off once again. He called out to Old Man Tsang a few times, but there was no response, as if he had sunk into the sea. From the looks of it, before Old Man Tsang woke up, she had no way of contacting Old Man Tsang. Suddenly, she thought of something. He immediately used his soul sense to contact the pet space. Sure enough, it was as Old Man Tsang said. In this plane, her spiritual power was also suppressed too much. The connection with the pet space was very weak. But it was better than not sensing anything at all. Yi Qing Luo sighed silently. The most important thing right now was to find Xian. With Xian around, she believed in him. Regardless of whether it was a divine array formation or a divine array formation, there would definitely be a solution. Yi Qing Luo's fingertips gently caressed the profound phoenix ring. He wondered if the Netherworld Phoenix Ring and the Netherworld Dragon Ring could still sense each other in this plane. She had better leave the washroom first before doing anything else. Yi Qing Luo opened the tightly shut toilet door. Outside the washroom, there were 3 or 4 women with strange expressions. When they saw Yi Qing Luo walking out from the toilet, the few of them exchanged glances and pointed at her. They seemed to be trying to guess her identity. This feeling was exactly the same as when she was surrounded by a group of star chasers in the mall. Motherf ****. She didn't know if she should say it or not. Chapter 1824. Yi Qing Luo awkwardly coughed a few times and immediately bowed to them in embarrassment. Sorry to disturb you, I was reciting the script and was too engrossed in reciting that I forgot the occasion. The surrounding women saw Yi Qing Luo dressed in a red ancient costume. They believed her when she said she was reciting the script. Yi Qing Luo secretly wiped off her cold sweat, apologized a few more times and hurriedly rushed out of the washroom. She should be glad that she was attracted by Old Man Tsang's words. She forgot to change into a set of clothes that belonged to this plane. And the others couldn't see or hear Old Man Tsang's words. From the beginning to the end, they only heard her muttering to herself. This gave her an excuse to not be treated as a lunatic by others. Yi Qing Luo cursed in her heart, what kind of bullshit array was this? It was actually a real plane. She didn't know what year it was in this plane. In this era of advanced information on the internet, Yi Qing Luo absolutely believed that her photos would be spread all over the internet. It was not that she was narcissistic, but today's society was like this. If this news were to spread, would those old fellows from the Yi family who were still alive and her enemies be surprised when they saw her? After leaving the washroom, Yi Qing Luo put this matter to the back of her mind. She raised her hand and looked at the profound phoenix ring on her fingertip. Right now, she had to find a way to gather her mental power as soon as possible. As long as she could sense the location of the profound dragon ring, it would be enough. At the same time, in the luxurious villa, a strange man in black sportswear with a hood rushed into the villa. Master. The 2 burly men in bodyguard uniforms who were guarding the door suddenly knelt on the ground. Their kneeling posture was extremely standard. The strange man walked in quickly. When the door of the villa was closed, that strange man who was still walking quickly suddenly stretched his body and flipped over to the 2nd floor. In the air, a faint profound energy was faintly discernible. The strange man walked quickly into the study on the 2nd floor. This study was decorated exactly the same as the ancient furnishings. The strange man walked to a mahogany square table, flipped his palm and slammed it on the table. Only to hear a loud "pa" sound. The square table was separated from the middle. Then, a foldable screen slowly rose. The strange man placed his palm on the screen. A powerful and majestic profound energy shot out from his palm. Soon, the entire screen was enveloped by the mystic light. The next moment, a bone-chilling voice came from the screen, "What's the matter, Netherworld?" The strange person called Netherworld raised his head and stared fixedly at the black-robed man on the screen. His crimson eyes looked like they were dyed with blood. "I have something to discuss with the Venerable One." The Venerable is not free. The cold voice refused without hesitation. Yuhan. Netherworld was sullen. "I have a message that I must personally tell the Venerable One. Can you bear the responsibility for delaying the Venerable One's plan?" Yuhan snorted disdainfully. Before Yu Ming could speak again, a gentle female voice came from the screen. "All right, Yuhan. It's rare for Yu Ming to contact us. Why make things difficult for him?" A petite black-robed person appeared on the screen. "You knew." Netherworld's crimson eyes flickered when he saw the person and his voice became gentler. "Is the Venerable One not around?" "The Venerable One has gone to Godless Island to discuss something with the Lord of Godless Island. He is not in the palace for the time being." Yu Nu smiled gently. Netherworld was slightly stunned. He pursed his lips and looked at Yu Nu, "Then please tell the Venerable One personally that I found Yi Qing Luo in the 21st century. Star. Chapter 1825. Yu Luo's evil eyes lit up slightly. Her bright red nails scratched her pink lips as her lips curled into a sinister smile. Oh, she really entered the soulless array. Yu Ming was slightly stunned when he heard that. Soulless array? What's the point of talking so much to him? Yu Luo scoffed. An exiled lowly slave, what rights does she have to know about the Venerable's plan? The dark girl glared at Yuhan coquettishly, then looked at the Lord of the Netherworld with a smile. "I will tell the Venerable One about this. You go to that plane and help the Venerable One find what he needs. I will plead for you so that the Venerable One can bring you back as soon as possible." Yu Ming's other hand, which was hanging by his side, clenched tightly into a fist shape. His crimson eyes were filled with coldness. After some time, he fixed his gaze on Yu Luo on the screen. "Yi Qing Luo appearing in this plane, is it the Venerable's intention?" "Of course." Yu Luo chuckled, "Everything is in the Venerable's control. As for the reason why Yi Qing Luo appeared in that plane, don't ask too much." Yu Ming's eyes dimmed as he responded in a low voice, "Yes." Without waiting for Yu Luo to speak again, Yu Luo had already raised her hand and cut off the connection between them. Seeing the screen, which was wrapped in the profound glow, gradually turning into an ordinary screen, Yu Luo's face disappeared from the screen. Yu Ming's hand slowly slid down from the screen. Yi Qing Luo appearing here, it was the Venerable's intention. He came to this plane because of the Venerable's intention. That was Yi Qing Luo's appearance. Did it mean that the Venerable was getting impatient? The Venerable wanted Yi Qing Luo to find that thing herself? Once again, he had become an abandoned chess piece, hadn't he? If Feng Ling was here, she would definitely be able to recognize. The black-robed person who was called Yu Luo was the one who looked delicate but was actually gloomy in the dark sacred region. At the same time, in the 21st century plane, not far from the wealthy district, in the Century Garden, Yi Qing Luo, who was closing her eyes and gathering her mental power in an attempt to get in touch with Dmo Xian through the profound phoenix ring, suddenly opened her eyes. In her charming eyes, there was a faint look of astonishment. She seemed to have sensed the fluctuation of profound qi. How could there be anyone in this plane who possessed profound energy? But this fluctuation of profound energy, she would not sense wrongly. In his mind, he suddenly recalled what old man Tsang's spirit body had said before it disappeared. In this plane, there was someone even more powerful than her. Was he referring to profound practitioners who cultivated profound energy like her? This was a plane that truly existed. How could it be possible that a profound practitioner would appear? Yi Qing Luo vigilantly looked towards the direction of the profound qi fluctuation. That was the direction of the wealthy district. Someone who could buy a villa in the wealthy district. In this plane of the 21st century, the rich were the noble. This meant that that profounder had been on this plane for a very long time. Yi Qing Luo narrowed her eyes and was about to follow the profound qi fluctuations to find that cultivator. Suddenly, the fluctuation of profound qi was cut off. She stopped in her tracks. Squinting her eyes, she sensed carefully. However, no matter how hard she tried, she could not sense any fluctuation of profound qi. It was as if what she had sensed just now was nothing more than an illusion. But Yi Qing Luo was clear. That was definitely not an illusion. He chose to gather his spiritual energy in the Century Garden in the wealthy district. It was precisely because she had taken a fancy to the heaven and earth spiritual energy in this garden. And over at the wealthy district, there was profound chi fluctuations. That was enough to prove that that person had taken a fancy to the heaven and earth spiritual energy here. Yi Qing Luo wanted to find that cultivator. It would be best if she could find out from that person how to absorb the heaven and earth spiritual energy and gather her spiritual energy and consciousness. But, she did not dare to act rashly. She knew nothing about the other party's identity. Chapter 1826. Just as Yi Qing Luo was hesitating, a clear and gentle voice suddenly came from behind. "Little Luo, I have finally found you." The familiar voice made Yi Qing Luo's heart tighten uncontrollably. She quickly turned around. She saw a man dressed in a purple robe with peerless elegance slowly walking towards her. His purple robe fluttered, flowing with a dazzling brilliance. An ethereal temperament and a majestic aura caused others to be unable to shift their gazes away. Xian, Yi Qing Luo's eyes lit up slightly as her face revealed a joyful expression. Dmo Xian's lips curled up gently, his smile devilishly charming and alluring. He opened his arms to her. Yi Qing Luo was just about to lift her feet and walk towards Dmo Xian's direction. Suddenly, he felt a tingling sensation on his fingertips. She looked down and saw that the profound phoenix ring on her finger was glowing with a devilish red light. The scorching pain constantly stimulated her divine sense. Profound phoenix ring, Xian. Yes. The connection between the netherworld phoenix ring and the netherworld dragon ring had yet to take shape. How did Dmo Xian know that she was in the Century Garden? This person was not Dmo Xian. This was the devouring array's eye, an illusion of Dmo Xian. Only by devouring the formation eye would he be able to find her. He knew in his heart that the person in front of him was not Dmo Xian. However, for some reason, Yi Qing Luo had an impulse to walk over to him and pounce into his arms. Was it because he was too similar to Dmo Xian? Or, not giving Yi Qing Luo much time to think, the profound phoenix ring on her fingertips released a scorching heat that made her sober up from the pain. Devouring the formation eye to bewitch her heart? Little Luo, what's wrong? The devouring formation saw that she had stopped and warmly reminded her. Yi Qing Luo stabilized her state of mind and her heart had already calmed down. Suddenly, she thought of something, and a sly smile appeared in the depths of her charming eyes. This Dmo Xian in front of him was the devouring array eye of the godless array. If Qiao Jin and Yan Shao Yi both entered the soulless formation, through devouring the formation core, there was a possibility that he could obtain the whereabouts of Qiao Jin and Shao Yi. Yi Qing Luo's face was filled with smiles as she looked at him with a light smile. "Have you found Jin Zi and Shao Yi? I'm worried about you." The core of the devouring array looked up, its peach blossom eyes filled with grievance. "Our most important mission right now is to find Jin Zi and Shao Yi." Yi Qing Luo put on a helpless look. "This place is too dangerous, we must split up and speed up the search for Jin Zi and Shao Yi." The devouring array eye's expression froze for a moment, but it quickly smiled and said, "This place is indeed dangerous. I can only be at ease if I'm by your side. This is my hometown, the place where I grew up. No matter how dangerous it is, I will be fine." Yi Qing Luo waved her hand and said indifferently. The devouring formation core fell silent. Perhaps he was hesitating on how to think of a way to stay by Yi Qing Luo's side. Or perhaps it was because it was astonished that Yi Qing Luo actually didn't lose her senses from its hallucination technique. The beauty of the soulless formation lay in attacking the mind. However, the heart of the person who was attacked did not waver. Even the devouring formation core was powerless. It wanted to devour Yi Qing Luo. He needed Yi Qing Luo to be at ease and to trust him wholeheartedly. I'll go ahead to sense Jin Zi and Xiao Yi's presence, you go over there to search. Yiqing Luo didn't wait for the devouring formation core's reply as she turned around and walked towards the direction of the wealthy district. Her footsteps were slow, intentionally waiting for the devouring formation core to stop her. Indeed, at the next instance, the devouring formation core's slightly anxious voice was heard from behind, Lil Luo, I've already found where they are. Yiqing Luo's lips curled up slightly. A crafty smile filled her eyes. She was waiting for the devouring formation core to say this sentence. Star. Chapter 1827. When she turned around, Yiqing Luo had already concealed the craftiness in her eyes. When he looked at the core of the devouring formation, his eyes were filled with surprise. Yiqing Luo walked to the side of the devouring array core as she smiled like a flower. Where are they? I'll bring you there. The eye of the devouring formation reached out a slender arm towards her, wanting to embrace her delicate body. Just as he raised his hand, Yiqing Luo dodged sideways and raised her hand to block its outstretched hand. The devouring array core's expression sunk as it raised its eyes to look at Yiqing Luo. But he saw Yiqing Luo pouting her pink lips with a tsundere look. Seeing that I'm so anxious and worried about Xiao Yi and the rest, you still dare to tease me. I'll punish you not to touch me. The body of the devouring formation core stiffened. Yiqing Luo's peripheral vision saw that the other hand of the devouring array's eye was tightly clenched into a fist. Apparently, he was infuriated by Yiqing Luo. However, it had to suppress the anger in its heart. In Yiqing Luo's memories, it was deeply aware of how Dmo Xian pampered his wife. It retracted its hand stiffly and smiled. Its eyes were sparkling, and it was a peerless beauty. All right. It's my fault that I didn't tell you about this immediately. I won't touch you. Looking at the devouring formation eye, it obediently took a few steps back. Yiqing Luo couldn't help but sneer in her heart. A fake was a fake. Even if it had completely replicated Dmo Xian's appearance and temperament. Nor could they replicate Dmo Xian's uniqueness. If it was Dmo Xian, how could he possibly be obedient and not touch her just because he said he wouldn't flatter her? He would definitely pull her into his embrace. Little Luo, don't waste any more time. Let's go. The devouring array core really didn't touch Yiqing Luo, and specially walked in front of her to lead the way. Xiao Yi and Jin Zi are waiting for us to go over. After some time, he didn't get any response from Yiqing Luo. The devouring array core turned around, but discovered that Yiqing Luo was still standing at the same spot, not moving at all. A happy and surprised smile gradually appeared on her gorgeous face. She lifted her hand and looked at the profound phoenix ring on her finger. His heart suddenly soared. That smile. It caused the devouring formation core to have a strange feeling. To prevent any accidents from happening, it couldn't care less about maintaining Dmo Xian's gentleness towards Yiqing Luo. Suddenly he took quick steps towards Yiqing Luo and his voice was filled with urgency. Lil Luo, I sense that Xiao Yi and Jin Zi are in danger, we need to rush over immediately. Its figure had just neared Yiqing Luo. Suddenly, a majestic and vast dark force came crashing down from all directions. Bang! A series of deafening explosions resounded throughout the entire floor. The devouring formation's core keenly sensed danger approaching. The hand which was about to grab Yiqing Luo was immediately retracted. His figure turned into a black shadow as he retreated a few steps. The sound of rocks colliding and tearing was accompanied by the howling of the wind. The surging airwaves transformed into numerous majestic vortexes. Sand and dust filled the air. In front of Yiqing Luo's eyes, an enchantment barrier enveloped her. The leaves of the entire century garden rustled, and the fresh flowers filled the garden, dancing in the strong wind. At the place where the devouring formation core stood, a thin crack appeared. A moment later, the crack suddenly split open. The Century Garden, along with that wealthy district, was shaking continuously. However, the young lady who was protected by the enchantment barrier. There wasn't any feeling of turbulence at all. But, the devouring formation core standing opposite Yiqing Luo, wasn't having it easy. The surroundings of the Century Garden, because of this huge commotion, rang a series of alarms. From all directions, there were surging breaths from the crowd. Apparently, the commotion in the Century Garden had attracted the attention of the surrounding guards. Chapter 1828. The devouring array eye's face darkened as it stared at the young lady who was protected by the enchantment in the hurricane. Its peach blossom eyes flashed with a piercingly cold glint. That peerless face, in a split second, was covered with a gloomy and cold aura. It looked extremely sinister, but exceptionally handsome. What was going on? Who was it? Who disturbed its prey? Do you think you can impersonate this lord just because you want to? An extremely cold voice came from afar. Immediately after, a shadow flashed across the sky. The devouring array eye only felt a dull pain in its chest. Before he could even catch the last purple afterimage, he was already gone. That figure had its back facing him, walking slowly towards Yiqing Luo's direction. Ah Xian. Yiqing Luo's voice trembled as she looked at the man walking towards her. Purple robe billowed, incomparably handsome. His black hair was tied into a crown, wantonly and ostentatious. The man's figure was tall and slender, with an exquisite face, peach blossom eyes that reflected the dark light, rosy red lips. No matter how she looked, he was a complete evildoer. Stunning the world, peerless. When the four eyes met, Yiqing Luo saw deep worry and longing in his eyes. She raised her lips, her eyebrows were tinged with a trace of smile. The lines on his face also gradually softened. He was Ah Xian. It was her Ah Xian. Just when the devouring array eye was about to bring her away, she could sense the connection between the Netherworld Phoenix Ring and the Netherworld Dragon Ring. Yiqing Luo knew. It was Dmo Xian. The real Dmo Xian was here. He came to find her. When the real one appeared, the fake Dmo Xian in the devouring array eye looked extremely comical. That was a complete copy of the appearance and aura. At this moment, the contrast was like heaven and earth. Yiqing Luo was suspicious of her own eyes. Such an obvious gap, she actually recognized the devouring array eye as Dmo Xian in the beginning. She didn't know. The current Dmo Xian, in order to find her, released his usual strength. His aura and temperament had undergone a double transformation. Standing in front of the Dmo Xian, who had replicated Yiqing Luo's memories in the devouring array's eye, naturally he could suppress all the light from the devouring array's eye. You. How could you? The devouring formation stared at this man who had completely disregarded it. Its heart was burning with rage. It was the eye of the soulless formation. The inside of this formation was its territory. But it was actually injured by an outsider who entered its territory? The devouring formation core could not endure this humiliation no matter what. Dmo Xian's footsteps stopped in front of Yiqing Luo. The airflow around the two of them gradually calmed down. The enchantment which enveloped Yiqing Luo also dissipated at this moment. He spread his arms wide. She was all smiles as she threw herself into his arms. Ah Xian. You finally found me. Yiqing Luo buried her head in his arms, inhaling the elegant fragrance from his body. She was Ah Xian. She loved Ah Xian alone. Dmo Xian tightened his arms. He could feel the warmth of her delicate body and her light breathing. His heart, which was hanging in the air, was finally at ease. The devouring array looked at the two people in front of him who were in love with each other, completely disregarding him. His fingers clenched tightly as he looked at Dmo Xian whose back was facing him. Suddenly his figure flashed as he charged towards Dmo Xian's direction. Ah, he had just taken a step forward. The devouring formation core suddenly let out a blood-curdling scream. Chapter 1829. It clutched its chest as a mouthful of blood spurted out from its mouth. You, what did you do to me? The devouring eye couldn't exert any strength at all. Even maintaining its current form was a little strenuous. Until now, the devouring eye had finally understood. Right from the start, Yiqing Luo knew that it wasn't the real Dmo Xian. So, she rejected its touch. And didn't call it, Xian. Might as well, the devouring eye didn't waste any more energy to maintain Dmo Xian's appearance. Gradually, a black fog appeared in front of the two of them. Human-shaped black fog. It had human eyes, nose, mouth. Whatever humans had, this black fog also had. It was as if he was a man created by the black fog. This was the devouring eye. It looked really strange and ugly. Dmo Xian's brows rose slightly as he looked down at the devouring eye, noble and elegant, as though he was looking at everything in the world, making the devouring eye feel a sense of humiliation. Dmo Xian's thin lips curled slightly as he smiled. You dare to touch my woman, your guts aren't small. His tone was very light but it revealed an oppressive sense of power. The devouring eye felt the energy in its body was disappearing at an extremely fast speed. There was a strong sense of fear in its eyes. Tell me the location of Xiao Yi and Xiao Jin, perhaps I can consider letting you off. Dmo Xian smiled calmly. The devouring eye panted as its eyes were filled with viciousness. Don't even think about it. Don't ever think of finding those two lowly humans. Slap. Only to hear the sound of an air current breaking through the air. Yiqing Luo raised a palm of profound qi and slapped directly towards the devouring eye's face. A heavy slap carried a strong profound qi. One slap caused the devouring eye to spit out a large mouthful of blood. In terms of lowly, an intangible body like you without a face is the real lowly one. Yiqing Luo sneered, if you don't want to say, I can't be bothered to waste time to force you. The devouring eye's face instantly darkened. Although the face was like a mass of black fog, it was a mass of pitch black. You're definitely not the only formation eye in this massive soulless formation. You might not care about your life, but there are plenty of others who do. Yiqing Luo Wei squinted her eyes as she stared at the devouring array core, revealing an obvious ridicule. Once the array core's energy is depleted, it will completely disappear in the godless array, right? The black mist-like body of the devouring formation core twitched violently on the ground. This was obviously tacitly agreeing to Yiqing Luo's question. It cherished its life. It naturally cherished its life. In the entire deity array formation, which array core didn't care about their lives. He had been in the godless formation for tens of thousands of years. The godless island had sent tens of thousands of people to the godless array. It could easily capture the weakness in everyone's heart. Then, it would completely devour the other party. This was the first time it had failed. From Yiqing Luo's memories, the devouring array core had read Dmo Xian's power. Now that he saw Dmo Xian with his own eyes. As the devouring formation eye that attacked the heart, it naturally understood. It couldn't afford to provoke this man. The godless island had actually let such a powerful person in. Were they trying to destroy the godless array formation completely? Lil Luo, it refuses to say, what should we do? Dmo Xian's eyes drooped as he gazed at the young lady in his arms as he asked with a light smile. Chapter 1830. Dmo Xian had a, whatever my wife says, expression as he nodded with a smile, then we shall do as Lil Luo, says. He waved his hand. His purple robe rolled up a terrifying profound energy. The irresistible force made the devouring array I cry out in shock, I'll speak. I'll speak. I'll tell you where the two humans are at, I don't want to disappear. I don't want to disappear. Yiqing Luo raised her hand and hugged Dmo Xian's arm. Dmo Xian also restrained his aura at the right time. She raised her brows and continued to smile, whether it disappears or not, depends on how much obsession you have to survive. Yiqing Luo felt that the feeling of a fox borrowing the tiger's might was indeed cool. The devouring array I trembled as it stared at Dmo Xian with trepidation and told him where Qiao Jin and Yan Shao Yi were at. They've been teleported to a battle spell formation. That's the most devastating of all the spell formations. In that place, there is only battle. Battle. Battle on and on. Yiqing Luo's face instantly turned pale. Are you sure what you said is true? It's absolutely true. Generally speaking, those who enter the array will be split into different places according to their own hearts, to undergo the array's devouring and assimilation. But this time, not only the two of you entered the same place. They too, are all in the same place, so I remember it very clearly. Looking at the devouring array eye's solemn look. Yiqing Luo's expression turned uglier by the minute. Her fingers tightened as she held Dmo Xian's arm tightly. Dmo Xian gently caressed her head as he hugged her petite body tightly. Immediately, his gaze turned chilly as he looked at the devouring array eye, the way to go to that place. This. The devouring array I didn't expect Dmo Xian to ask so directly as he was shocked. I don't know. Don't know? Then you have no value. Yiqing Luo was burning with anxiety. How would she have the mood to watch the devouring array eye's little trick? I can bring you there. The devouring array core was so frightened that it hurriedly changed its words. As if afraid that the two of them wouldn't believe it, it solemnly vowed, I am the array core of the soulless array core. I can track the whereabouts of everyone who enters the soulless array core. Yiqing Luo didn't bother with his nonsense as she let go of Dmo Xian's arm and walked in big strides to the side of the devouring array core. She took out a pill from the profound phoenix ring and stuffed it into the devouring array core's mouth. Now, lead the way. After consuming the elixir, the devouring formation core's strength gradually returned to its body. It got up from the ground. He touched his limbs to make sure that they were completely healed. Just as he was about to turn around to face Yiqing Luo, to flatter her alchemy skills with joy. What greeted him was a kick to the face. Bang! The devouring formation core fell to the ground. Cut the crap. Lead the way immediately. Yiqing Luo was burning with anxiety as she urged him to kick. The devouring array core was afraid of these two and didn't dare to play any more tricks. It obediently led the two of them to where the eye of the formation resided. The location of the formation eye was also where the formation eye was fixed. Once the formation eye was destroyed, it would disappear. Bringing them to their residences and the devouring formation core was already a gamble with the determination to die. On the way, the devouring formation core looked at the worried Yiqing Luo and suddenly thought of something as it hesitantly asked, that. Are you sure you want to leave this plane? Yiqing Luo's cold eyes swept across. The devouring formation core immediately shrunk its head. This cowardly look, where was the slightest bit of the dignified attitude when it transformed into Dmo Xian? Star. Chapter 1831. She took a few more steps. The devouring array core shrunk its neck as it spoke in a trembling voice, that. I'm telling the truth, you want to leave this plane? Yiqing Luo's slender brows creased slightly. I don't have the time to talk nonsense with you. But. The devouring array core stuttered. Looking at Yiqing Luo's frosty expression, it didn't dare to say it out. It pouted and muttered softly, "You coming to this plane is intentionally arranged by someone. If you leave this plane, wouldn't that mean that Lord wasted 100 years of profound energy to send you over?" The devouring array core's voice became softer. But based on Yiqing Luo and Dmo Xian's hearing ability, they could hear it clearly. Their expressions changed slightly, and they looked at each other. Yiqing Luo narrowed her eyes as her voice turned chilly. "You're saying, someone intentionally sent me to the 21st century plane?" The devouring array core widened its black fog-like eyes, as though it was extremely astonished. It had already said it very softly. Why were they still able to hear it? Yiqing Luo slapped its forehead. "Don't go into a daze, speak clearly." I'm just one of the thousands and thousands of array cores in the godless array, so I don't know much." Before it could finish its words, it met Yiqing Luo's icy cold gaze and heard the cracking sound of finger joints. The devouring array core instantly cowered as it lowered its head. You were indeed sent to this plane by someone. Intentionally sent to this plane? Who was it? And even wasted 100 years of profound energy? 100 years of profound energy. Even if it was someone with average innate talent, in 100 years' time, he would be able to cultivate to at least 2 grades of power. That person, what motive did he have? She knew it. If it was based on a person's inner heart, the plane that was sent to. No matter what, it should be Nirvana Realm, Devil Class or the World Group's old residence. Anyway, it was absolutely not the 21st century. In the 21st century, other than the long-lost feelings, there was nothing worth her nostalgia. But in Nirvana Realm, there was her brother. Her kin. Her favorite people. This was the place that could truly conquer her inner heart. So, she came to the 21st century. It was deliberate. Don't ask me why I sent you here, I really don't know. I only know that in order to send you to this plane, other than the opportunity of the soulless formation, I also need to exhaust 100 years of profound energy, but I feel that if they used 100 years of profound energy to send you over, there must be something important that they need you to do. If you were to head to another plane so easily, wouldn't that be a waste of that Lord's 100 years of profound energy? When Yiqing Luo heard that, her expression didn't change at all. She curled her lips in disdain. What I hate most in my life is being used by others. The devouring formation core was taken aback for a moment before coming to a realization. Yiqing Luo totally didn't know who was the person who sent her to the 21st century. Not to mention, she came to this plane to do something important. Yiqing Luo totally didn't know. Moreover, under the circumstances where no one knew, he had schemed against Yiqing Luo. Based on Yiqing Luo's character, how would she possibly care about that lord and waste a few hundred years of profound energy? That had nothing to do with her at all. I'm not interested to know about unimportant people. Yiqing Luo gave it a cold glance. If you continue talking rubbish, I'll cut off your tongue. Chapter 1832. The devouring array. I obediently led the way. Yiqing Luo and Dmo Xian walked behind. She tugged Dmo Xian's arm and lowered her voice. A Xian, who in Nirvana Realm has lived for at least 500 years and above? If she was sent to this plane by expending 100 years of profound energy, that person's cultivation was at least 500 years and above. Otherwise, it was absolutely impossible to use 1 million profound energy to do such a thing. Perhaps, he's not from Nirvana Realm. Dmo Xian's narrow peach blossom eyes squinted as a piercingly cold glint shot out from his eyes. Godless Island also intervened in this matter. Yiqing Luo's expression turned grave. Indeed. She recalled everything that had happened in her mind. Yiqing Luo could totally sense that she had been led by the nose from the start to the end. From entering the treasure-gathering pavilion to auction back the sky-essence serene grass. Until Xiao Yi was captured. Shi Shanglan then made use of Xiao Yi and Jin Zi to lure the both of them to discover the secret passage in the treasure-gathering pavilion. From there, they automatically entered the godless array which had been set long ago. Just for the sake of sending her to the 21st century? That person, who was he? Just as she was deep in thoughts, the man beside her suddenly pressed her wrist. Yiqing Luo suddenly regained her senses as she looked up at him. The both of them stopped in their tracks. Dmo Xian was expressionless as his piercingly cold gaze went past Yiqing Luo and swept towards the position behind her. Come out. Two icy cold words, as though it was wrapped in frost. It was as if even the surrounding air had been frozen. The devouring array which was leading the way had a huge change in expression as it turned its head vigilantly and followed Dmo Xian's line of sight. Who? Who is it? Have I been discovered? It frantically hid behind Dmo Xian's back as it stuck its head out and looked left and right. The atmosphere froze for a moment. Dmo Xian's palm moved. His purple robe rolled up a strong airflow. That imposing manner was like a roaring sea wave, whistling as it attacked towards a certain direction. Yiqing Luo was so shocked that she immediately hugged his arm. Ah Xian, in this place, you can't recklessly use your profound energy. If we are discovered by the people in this world, we will be treated as monsters and brought to be researched. The moment the young lady hugged his arm, in an instant, the dense aura completely dissipated. Dmo Xian's brows drooped as he gazed at the person leaning on his arm and smiled faintly. With this array no one in this world can see us. Yiqing Luo was stunned for a moment and immediately let go of her hand. Oh right, then quickly use your profound qi to blast that tracker to death, the responsibility will be on me. She recalled herself and the Dmo Xian who was transformed from the devouring array standing at the entrance of the crowded street. Indeed, no one could see her. Wait. Since the people of this world couldn't see them, why were there still people following them? Could it be? Yiqing Luo's heart trembled. No way, there really were people who weren't from this world. At the next instance, Yiqing Luo had her answer. Dmo Xian's profound qi fell into the haystack not far behind him. Then, a black figure dashed out of the haystack. Yiqing Luo saw it clearly. It was a strange man wearing black sportswear and a hoodie that covered his entire body and face. She just looked at him like this. Yiqing Luo could feel a strong aura encircling around him. This person was not simple. Who are you? Dmo Xian narrowed his eyes as he sized him up, his voice was deep and cold. Chapter 1833. Towards his reply. Yiqing Luo didn't feel much, her attention was all on the strange man, that pair of scarlet red eyes. She stared at the pair of red eyes in astonishment. After staring for a while, she said, "Your eyes, natural." The strange man answered calmly, as if he was already used to explaining the problems with his eyes. Natural red eyes? How could there be someone with such a strange eye color? However, not waiting for Yiqing Luo to continue asking the doubts in her heart, Dmo Xian had already hugged her shoulders tightly, shoving her into his arms, and immediately looked at the strange man coldly. "You're not from Nirvana realm, your aura." He paused, as his brows creased slightly. "Godless Islands people?" "No." The strange man shook his head. "My name is Yu Ming, indeed. I'm considered to be from the same place as you." Purpose. Dmo Xian didn't want to talk nonsense with him. Yu Ming looked at Yiqing Luo who was nestled in Dmo Xian's arms, peeking out her little head, blinking her charming eyes at him. He smiled, as his red eyes faintly flashed a few red rays. "I want to cooperate with you." Cooperate? Yiqing Luo raised her brows. Just as she opened her mouth, the hand around her waist suddenly tightened. Yiqing Luo patted the back of his hand, as she raised her eyes to look at the awkward, obviously jealous man. She was helpless, as she pinched Dmo Xian's hand again. She stared at Yuming. But it wasn't because she had taken a fancy to Yuming's face. She only felt that Yuming's pair of red eyes was a little strange. Moreover, in this world, in terms of looks, who could match Dmo Xian's looks? Yiqing Luo stretched out her hand, as she pinched his tight face, but her words were directed at Yuming, who says, "How do you want to cooperate with us? Bring me out of this plane." Yuming calmly stated his request, "I want to go back, to our era." Yiqing Luo scoffed lightly, "You haven't even stated your exchange terms, and you've already raised your own request. Are you so confident that I'll be interested in your cooperation?" Yuming said indifferently, "I've been in this plane for 10 years. After a pause, his scarlet red eyes locked onto Yiqing Luo. "I discovered the hidden Yi family's ancestral tomb." Yiqing Luo's brows twitched. She knew from Yuming's gaze that he'd obviously recognized her. The reclusive Yi family. Before she transmigrated, he was the head of the reclusive Yi clan. The ancestral tomb, this was the reason why she was sent to the Nirvana realm. But, she remembered that she had heard the old men of the reclusive Yi clan talk about it. The tomb of the Yi clan's ancestors hid too many disasters and secrets. Apart from the descendants of the Yi clan, no one else could find the tomb of their ancestor. It was also because of this that she had been deceived by that group of old men to go to her ancestor's tomb, open it, and obtain the Audioboo bracelet. She had entered the tomb of her ancestors before. He naturally understood why the group of old men from the Yi clan placed so much importance on the ancestral tomb. Yuming was also interested in the tomb of the Yi clan's ancestors. Then, when Yuming knew that she was a descendant of the Yi clan, he would not let her go. Talking about the ancestral tomb. That was also asking for her help, because only she had the qualification to enter the ancestral tomb. Asking for her help to enter the ancestral tomb again. Asking her to bring him back to their era. Yiqing Luo really wanted to laugh at his face. He was indeed a red-eyed person, his face was really big. Chapter 1834. In the tomb of the Yi clan's ancestor, there is an azure water divine weapon, Yuming said word by word. Yiqing Luo's expression changed slightly. Vast water god armament? Yes. Netherworld nodded firmly. I know you need the deep water divine artifact. This information in exchange for you taking me back to our time should be worth it. Yiqing Luo narrowed her eyes as she sized up Yuming's expression. Indeed, she needed the azure water divine tool. She had promised old man Tsang. He would gather a complete set of azure water divine armaments as soon as possible. Although she had entered her ancestor's tomb before, she hadn't noticed anything other than the Audioboo bracelet. As for whether or not there was an azure water divine artifact, she really wasn't too sure. Other than the Yi family, no one can enter the ancestral tomb. How did you know and how did you ascertain that the Tsang Shui artifact is in the ancestral tomb? Yiqing Luo raised her doubts. To tell you the truth, I came to this plane for the vast water divine artifact. But right now, I want to leave this plane more than the azure water divine artifact. His eyes were sincere. It didn't sound like he was lying. She was silent for a moment as she glanced at the devouring array eye which was trying its best to reduce its presence. Her eyes flashed slightly. But, compared to the azure water divine artifact, I care more about my brother's life. Then, she raised her voice and said, Little Formation Core, continue to lead the way. Saying that, she held Dmo Xian's hand and walked towards the direction of the devouring array's eye. The devouring Formation Core panicked and was at a loss of what to do. Really want to leave, then continue with your nonsense? Yiqing Luo narrowed her eyes as she looked at it with a smile which didn't look like a smile. The devouring formation core immediately covered its mouth and shook its head vigorously. Go, go, I'll lead the way. The three of them continued forward. With his back facing the netherworld. Dmo Xian's lips curled upwards as he leaned close to her ear. Lil Luo, has become crafty. Yiqing Luo rubbed her face against his shoulder as she gave a light laugh. Who is he? What kind of person is he? The motive of the cooperation and such, I don't even understand it, so why should I trust him? She really did need the vast water divine artifact. But now was not the time. Facing a netherworld with ulterior motives, even if she wanted it, she would not take it. Who knew if the netherworld was taking advantage of her identity as a descendant of the Yi clan? Once she took out the vast water divine weapon, wouldn't it be a loss if the netherworld snatched it away instead? Although, with Dmo Xian around, this kind of situation would basically not happen. However, it was better to be safe than sorry. She didn't want to become a chess piece in someone else's hands. Most importantly, Xiao Yi and Jin Zi were still fighting in an extremely dangerous plane. She had no more time to waste on the ancestral tombs. He had only taken a few steps. Yu Ming's figure flashed and appeared in front of the two of them. Miss Yi, your brother, just as he asked, the devouring formation I had already told him about Xiao Jin and Yan Xiao Yi's matters in a simple manner. In the end, he didn't forget to add, yes, yes, yes. You have to persuade this young lady. The battle plains over there are full of fighting prowess. Even if you rush over now, I'm afraid that your brother might already be dead. The word die had only just emitted a stream of air. The devouring array core was sent flying by Yiqing Luo's kick. Miss Yi, what the array core said, actually makes a lot of sense. Yu Ming nodded thoughtfully. Give me 10 minutes. If those two brothers of yours are still alive, I have a way to ensure their safety. Yiqing Luo's eyes flashed as her slender fingers instinctively curled up tightly. She pursed her lips as her tone turned heavy. Give me a reason to believe you. You're tuning into the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.